We've gone heavy on education this week, and this was just to cap it off for the week. Ghana's schools have shame and a lot of work that must be done. This is still the AM show, and of course, joining me for the news review will be Kojo Brace, my colleague, for that discussion. In sports today, we have Prime Take, and Muftau Nabila Abdullah interacts with former welterweight champion Joshua Clottey. But it's a Friday, and you know, we've got blunt thoughts with yours truly. Today I've titled it, Ghana in the Intensive Care Unit, the farce of our leadership and why we must do something radical about it now. In terms of our big stories, we're going to go big on politics, and the governing NPP is getting ready for its flag bearership primaries to elect President Akufo-Addo's successor. Today, we're going to contemplate these matters with Communications Director of the party, Richard Ahiagba, on the modalities we should look forward to. Now, so far, 3 names have come up as far as the flag bearership is involved. One of them, Alan Kyerematen, is actually nursing the ambition of becoming flag bearer of the party. He's been touring the country to make known his desire to lead the NPP and Ghana. Maxwell Agbagba is on the trail with him. He'd give us the latest on that beat. But moving away from there, there's a lot happening in Bawku as well. 7 people have been killed in clashes there. Bawku Central MP Mahama Yariga has vowed to pursue justice for 7 of his constituents whom he alleged have been killed by the military in this constituency. The Ghana Armed Forces has rejected claims that its personnel deployed to Bawku to restore calm and maintain order have killed those 7 locals. According to them, the reportage is untrue and should be ignored. We've got that on our chopping board as well. And as always, we'd love to hear from you. So stay with us and let's get into all of these matters. Up next, let's settle for the news. Our first story now, an armed military man on Thursday had to rescue staff of the Northern Electricity Distribution Company after they were locked up at the University for Development Studies City campus near Tamale Technical University. According to Netco staff, the university owes more than 400,000 cedis in electricity bills. Netco then decided to change the school's postpaid meter and replace it with a prepaid meter. Thus, workers were deployed to disconnect the institution. Here's Netco's loss control supervisor, Samuel Kumi, recounting the incident.
To come and disconnect the institution. They are owing as much as 447,000.
Which institution?
The UDS City Campus at Tripoli. So when we came, we identified ourselves and we told them why we are here. They refused us to carry out the disconnection. So I gave instruction to my people that they should disconnect. Upon the disconnection, the security man and the staff gave instructions that the car should not move out. So they should lock us inside. Even they should not allow us to go out until we reconnect them. So that's why we are here. That's why we are still here. That's the car. They say they will not allow the car to move. That's the gate. They say they will not allow us to move. So as you can see, they are still locking the gate. They said they will not allow us to go out with the car.
So you call in the military? I call
in management, and management call the military. Actually, we do monitoring with the military. So it's not like the military were there. There's an agreement that anytime we are doing monitoring, the military should work with us. So it's an exercise that we are doing.
Okay.
So when the issue happens, we have to call for reinforcement. As you can see, they are not even allowing us to move the car. As you can see, this is simple disconnection. And look at the risk involved. And this is a government institution. Can you imagine what will happen if it is individual homes? It's going to be worse.
Well, the institution, meanwhile, remains disconnected until it pays some part of the debt. Now, next story, the Ghana Armed Forces says members of its Operation Gongon team working to restore calm around the Bawku area this week neutralized some 6 persons who were fomenting trouble in the area. This comes days after the Member of Parliament for Bawku, Mahama Yariga, revealed that 8 civilians were allegedly murdered by persons believed to be from the military. According to the Ghana Armed Forces, Their men were engaged in a shootout with hooded gunmen after receiving information of an attack on a bus on the Bawku highway. Meanwhile, Stephen Yakubu believes the new strategies agreed on by the Regional Security Council will return calm to the area.
RESEC meetings are meetings that we meet regularly to review the security situation in the region and to take decisions as to how we can keep the region safe. So it's one of those meetings. But Bawku issue came in because our hotspot now is the jihadis in the region, the jihadis across the border, and also the Bawku problems. So those are the things that we discussed. Of course, there are security matters, and I can't tell you what we discussed. It's very sad that people have lost their lives. It's something that RESEC, we want to know what really happened. And we are going to. I also want to say that this troubles in Bawku is taking too long. We have been doing our best to make sure that there is peace in Bawku. The Interior Minister, the Minister for Defense, CDS, and all the big people, IGP, we're all here for us to see if we can prepare peace. And I think it lasted for a bit, and then it started all over again. If you sit down and you think about it, you really don't know the reason why it is getting this way. And I think that probably there are also criminality in it. There's politics in it, criminality in it. People have their own reasons why they probably don't want this to end. So I want to appeal through this medium that, look, let's give peace a chance, because Bawku is virtually dying.
We've got updates on this later on the show, but the governing New Patriotic Party is yet to announce the date and modalities in terms of electing its flag bearer and parliamentary candidates ahead of the 2024 elections. After a series of meetings, the party says it will broaden consultations until it reaches an acceptable decision. Kukwa Sante of our political desk now reports.
The president, his vice, and all who matter within the NPP met and deliberated for hours, but still could not come to a conclusion on a date to elect the new flag bearer. JoyNews understands there are entrenched views within the party relating to whether or not the party must hold an early Congress. General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Frimpong Kodria, told journalists the party will continue consulting until the decision is arrived at.
From steering committee through to National Executive Committee and National Council, it has been resolved that as a party we need to do further consultation on the timelines for the presidential and parliamentary elections, and within the possible shortest time we will come out with the timelines for our presidential and parliamentary elections.
Among others, the party was expected to announce modalities for its superdelegate conference if there are more than 5 aspirants. But this decision as well could not be taken. The Kyerematen campaign is not too pleased with the delay. One of the big decisions the New Patriotic Party have to take now is when it will elect its flag bearer ahead of that 2024 election. Indeed, after about 6 hours of meeting here at the Alisa Hotel, in which the president, the vice president, members of parliament, key stakeholders of the NPP were involved, the party could not reach a consensus to decide on when it will elect its flag bearer. Already, Kyerematen and other hopefuls are already on the road campaigning to get that NPP top job. But according to party officials, no agreement has been reached, and because of this, more consultation has to take place. Our understanding is that there is currently 2 schools of thought within the NPP. One, where the section led by the president, Akufo-Addo, saying that if you elect a new flag bearer now, that will take away the spotlight, the power and everything from the president, while the other school of thought that says that let us allow the flag bearer early enough to give us enough time to campaign. Reporting for JoyNews, Kweku Asante, Alisa Hotel.
Well, the campaign team of Alan Kyerematen is asking supporters of the party to ignore any polls that project Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia as the winner of the NPP's presidential primaries. Spokesperson Yawabina Samwa is urging Dr. Bawumia to dissociate himself from the polls.
Some market women at the racecourse market singing and dancing to welcome Alan Kyerematen. Spokesperson for the market, Michael Amponsa, declared the support of the traders for the NPP flag bearer hopeful. He says, we supported President Akufo-Addo. Here at the Central Market, we are the kingmakers. We are giving you all our support and blessings. We will pick your nomination forms for you when the time comes. We know you do not engage in politics of insults. We will urge you to continue on that path. All the market women here support you, he said.
Nefaye wamanyo sem na nyame a boss ro boss ase no me nhira ode be ma ono eso papa ti esra wadaroma edwa ha ma nyina yeta wachi.
One of the market queen mothers, Grace Ej Dakun, says they will lead Alan Kyerematen to pick his nomination forms when the time comes. We do not have the money, but help us to pick the nomination form for you. We want to prove our love to you, she said. Another leader, Nana Yafowa, says Alan Kyerematen is their only hope.
To no Alan, no vote.
She says, you have our support. Do not worry. You will win and become the flag bearer. Speaking in a meeting with Ashanti Regional Chief Imam and others, flag bearer hopeful Alan Kyerematen said he appeals to the people of the Volta region. He says they see him as a friend and a brother. He says that is crucial for the NPP to increase its votes in the Volta region during the general elections in 2024.
Ansana you bet me I win the power. NPP. You need a candidate. Ashanti region base no obet me about 80%. So when your candidate,
he says, before the NPP can win power, we need a candidate who can win about 80% of the votes in the Ashanti region. If we do not get a candidate who can garner that, then the battle will be difficult. You know, these are very difficult financial times. So you need someone who can consolidate your base whilst also increasing your votes in the Volta region, which is the stronghold of the NDC.
Now we can NDC.
The people of the Volta region have taken me as their son or friend. So let's think about this carefully. You need to choose someone who can help the NPP stay in government.
The contest is not between us. It's about the contest between NPP and NDC. Obetimi ati tumi ama NPP ni aka abemu sebe nyoma ya hihye nyina no na kofa ban fuframba ama oma meka se omonto aso eno ne madisia.
Well, from there, let's return to Accra, and the Mayor, Elizabeth Saki, is calling on corporate bodies to help the Assembly renovate some dilapidated basic schools in Accra. The Mayor has been inspecting some projects across the metropolis. James Kwesi Aveji has more.
Last few days, we have seen stories of the very sorry state of some schools in the rural areas of the country. Apparently, the problem is not limited to the hinterland. It is rife in the heart of the national capital as well. Here at the Mamprobi Simpe Junior High School, comprising the Simpe 1 Basic School, Mamprobi, Ebenezer 4 JHS, and Simpe 2 JHS. The school looks pale with dusty, rusty roofing sheet which leaks profusely anytime it rains. The buildings here are hanging on limping exposed pillars which threaten to fall anytime soon. School authorities say they have to seek asylum in this never completing get fund building. That's not all. The school is also exposed to the public as almost half of the fence walls housing the school already gone. The remaining wall is also on the verge of collapsing. The school currently does not have any washroom for both teachers and pupils. But the mayor of Accra, Elizabeth Saki, says an ongoing washroom project will soon be completed to resolve the challenge.
I'm happy to see the wash project being almost, it's getting, I think we've had about 80% of the work done, which is a good initiative, and it's a good plus to the minister for seeing to it that this is being done.
The situation is not different at the Mamprobi North 1 Basic School. Among several of the problems is the absence of a computer library for the hundreds of pupils. The headmistress of the school, Rita Oseajeman, highlights some of the challenges.
The major one I will mention of is the roofing system. You see, it's an iron used amidst the breeze. So corrosion has taken place and we have holes in all over the place. When it rains, the rain comes directly into the classrooms, which affects learning. When it starts raining, we have to close up and go home. This has affected almost everything in the school. The electricals are affected, the ceilings are off. And to add to it, our computer lab, we cannot use it because the effects is on the electricals too. If you don't take care, it will cause a very big problem to the children. So these are some of the problems, and all the woodworks in the school, due to the rains, they are all peeling off. So these are some of the challenges. We can't use our cupboards because they are all off. The wood, everything is off from the cupboard. We have some in good shape, which we can use. Even last term, a company came to donate 5 brand new computers. We cannot mount them due to this problem. So some are in good shape. If the place is in session, we can have some to use. Yeah. You're welcome.
Addressing these infrastructure challenges, the mayor, Elizabeth Saki, promised that the assembly is looking for resources to fix them as she appealed to corporate Ghana to come on board.
And then I also want to plead with all the corporate entities, thank you, that's it, the corporate entities, so that at least they can come on with their social responsibility, which I believe strongly that will help to enhance all that we have seen.
The tour resumes next week to check on the state of roads in Accra. James Kwesi Aveji's report for JoyNews.
And it's a wrap for the news. Stay with us. The news review up next. Welcome back on the AM show. Without further ado, let me bring you Samuel Kojo-Brace, who is in a shade of a shirt that is has a semblance to mine this morning.
Well, that's it. Okay, well, sort of.
Sort of, eh?
Yeah.
You have a bit of, is it lime or lemon green, and lots of other shades in there.
Maybe you may be a special man. Men are colorblind, really.
Colorblind?
Yesterday.
I pay particular attention to color.
Oh, okay. Well, not all. That's what I'm saying, that you may be a special man.
To turquoise, from forest green.
If you give me turquoise, what you're talking, I won't even know this is turquoise. What I know is I know black, I know white, I know red, I know yellow, I know orange, green. That's all. Give me anything, or blue, black. Give me anything.
So you're basically saying primary colors
and
a few more.
if you do anything else, I won't know. Now, yesterday, I knew that I was better than someone.
Oh,
I was going to someone's house, one of our colleagues.
Right.
And then he said,
"Oh, one of our colleagues."
Yes. He says,
that's a shade you've thrown here. I'll have to find out who those person is.
And he says, "Oh, that's my house, the one with the white roof." So I was looking for grey roof. I was looking for grey, and I said, "Matter."
There was no grey here.
This is black, so sort of you can say blue black, but grey the other. This is not grey. And so I was like, "Oh, then I'm better than someone." So let me keep mine like that. Yeah.
But wait, that's interesting though. A navy blue shade for a house?
Yeah. I mean, what I saw, blue black sort of, but it's not grey. I'm even closer than what he gave me, so I'm better, you know.
Yeah, but
exactly.
The week has ended. It may not end fully because some may come over the weekend. You look slightly a tad.
Like tired, huh?
Yes.
Because it hasn't been easy.
Is my guess correct?
Which one?
That you're a tad tired?
I don't even understand the tad tired thing. So say a little. If you say tad tired, Charlie.
I am in my element this morning.
Oh well, Charlie, I'm an agric student too. Agric, what we learn is this is cucumber, this is cabbage, this is how to till the land, how to ensure you are.
But don't raise all that.
This thing about tata, I only did.
It reminds me of
basic.
When I was reading the news, I said mayor.
I was like, what is this mayor thing?
And my producer was teasing me about saying mayor, though he knows it's the right thing.
Yeah, how many people know it's mayor? You're talking about mayor. English, Nana. A lot of us who did agric will not understand what you said, but
don't use your agric as a camouflage.
Oh please! I did agric for 4 years in the University of Cape Coast. I was growing cabbages.
I will leave this issue here. I'll not pursue it any further. But let's get into the papers this morning. I have a stack of 3: the Daily Graphic, the final newspaper, the Chronicle. What do you have?
I have the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, the Ghanaian Publisher, and the Custodian.
All right, let's start with you.
Okay. Now from the Ghanaian Times, Ghana assembles armored vehicles locally for safe transportation of bulk money. This is good news. Now, after the park sitting, New Times Corporation debtors urged to pay to enable it function effectively. Lack of indigenous business in key sectors cause of slow economic growth, according to Magdan. Alleged killings of 9 civilians by military at Bawku, bodies handed over to families for burial. And let me do a bit on the assembling of armored vehicles in Ghana. It's such a good news. Now, Ghana has begun assembling cash in transit armored vehicles to make the transportation of bulk money by banks in the country robust and secure against robbery attacks. Currently, the first 4 vehicles fitted by Dehok Kinaki Manufacturing Company Limited, that's Dickmark, at its armored vehicle assembling plant at Burma Camp in Accra, are ready to be deployed for use. Dickmark is a joint venture company between the Defense Industries Holding Company Limited, DEHOC, and private commercial entity of the Ghana Armed Forces and Kinaki Manufacturing Company Limited. This came to light on Wednesday when President Akufo-Addo inspected the vehicles as part of inauguration and sword cutting and handover activities ahead of the 2022 end-of-year get-together of the Ghana Armed Forces. This is absolutely a good news for us to be assembling such type of vehicles in Ghana. It's a step in the right direction, and we must commend the Ghana Armed Forces and the company for what they've done. Now, the executive chairman of Magdan Group of Companies, Daniel Macaulay, has attributed Ghana's slow economic growth to the lack of indigenous business controlling key sectors of the economy. To this end, he has challenged businesses in the country to re-strategize to be able to control certain sectors of the economy and set the path for small and medium-scale enterprises to deliver services and products and become the engine of growth. So that's like a call to action. One, to the state itself, and to Ghanaian-owned companies as well. That can we allow Ghanaian-owned companies to participate actively in all the major sectors like mining? Can we have Ghanaians owning large-scale mining companies like gold?
When you talk mining in this country, it's those global entities, the
Exactly.
MNCs. I mean, they'll always have a presence. If you look at Shell, Exxon, you notice that they've made outrageous profits on oil within the last, year or so. 40 plus billion, 50 plus billion. These are record, profits that they are making. How are we ensuring that our local entities can also compete? And mind you, there's a danger inherent in how we do business in our country. If you look at the technological giants or the communications entities here, if they were to pull out, which, I mean, they probably wouldn't do that because of profits. But if something were to happen and they were to up and leave, where would our economy be? Where do we go from there? Are we just going to take over? I mean, what are the dynamics? Same in the mining sector. We have all the resources.
It has happened to one of the companies, isn't it? Is it Airtel Tigo?
Yes, we had to take
over and then
take that over.
So,
and there have been rumors about others, down the line and all of that. The point being that we don't have enough. In fact, it's woefully inadequate in terms of many sectors of our economy. Many sectors of our economy are not in Ghanaian hands. They are in foreign hands. And should anything happen, some of these people can easily up and leave. There are so many sectors where I can point to, and I have friends who are Syrian, who are Lebanese and all of that, who are Chinese. I'm not denigrating anybody, but I'm saying that there's so much of our economy in the hands of foreigners that if something were to happen today, would be burnt from all angles.
We can even in the key sectors: mining, oil and gas, telecommunication, and even
agriculture.
And even
agriculture.
The major export companies, even in Agrek, you can say that.
How many of them are Ghanaian?
Exactly. So I was going to say that even in Agrek, we have some portion of Ghanaians in there, but for mining, it's zero. For the oil and gas, the major players.
Small scale, of course.
Exactly.
Unless you're talking small scale.
Small scale, it's the contribution from there is okay, but we're talking about those who really control the sector, the major mining companies like Goldfields, like Anglo Gold. How many of such companies are Ghanaians? That's why we need to
Which is why I'm saying at least for the small scale ones.
Oh yes,
we have quite a number.
As for that, yes.
I think Asanko Gold, and there are quite a number of it.
Maybe not small scale, we have a lot
like that, but
small scale.
But when it comes to the big
ones, yes, because they are the guys who can say, okay, we're no longer going to do it, and then you see that you are in hot water because you need the revenue from that side as well. So there has to be a deliberate plan to get locals to be in that sector, so that at least it's not only left to the foreigners alone. You have local companies that can also be called key players, such that if the foreign companies decide to say, okay, today we are not comfortable with your local conditions or whatever, we're leaving, you know that you have the right expertise and the right resources to take over and do that. If we don't do that, and we're always banking our hopes on foreign companies. Look, that's what
countries and even entities, that is what they do. So you come into our country, but we're going to have a large local contingent, and they'll be learning on the job, so that should anything happen, they take over. That usually isn't our case.
We have a law.
Swallow everything, hook, line, and sinker, and we are left at the mercy of these entities.
We have a law in the oil and gas sector. It's called the local, the Petroleum Localization Act, or so, local content. Right. Where when you as a foreign company you are coming in, there's a quota of your employees. Yes, that should be Ghanaians, and then there should be what they call the skill transfer, such that according to law, is it 5 or 10 years, the skill that is being performed by the foreigner can be handled by the local person, such that we feed off the number of foreign expertise and replace them with local expertise. Question is, how effective is the implementation? Are we overseeing the effective implementation of that, or what's happening? So it's about time we sort of pay attention to some of these areas. It's good Magdan is bringing that up. We have to base on that to start talking about these critical things. How are we ensuring that locals are taking advantage or getting into some critical spaces within some of our major sectors?
I'm also beginning to wonder, just to cap it off as we move forward, Nigeria, the Delta area and all of that. I don't know whether we can't categorize Nigeria as suffering from Dutch disease, you know, where oil becomes a bit of a curse.
Yeah.
And has so many ripple effects. I look at us, and since 2010, we've been doing this on and off, 10 fields, this and that. And I ask myself, really, if we sat down, and I feel we should have done this in 2020, 10 years afterwards, what have been the pros, the cons, the cost, the benefits?
Of the sector.
I don't know.
The only Ghanaian, maybe just to close it, the only Ghanaian in there is the guy who has, there's a Ghanaian who Springfield, that guy was able to identify some oil in a certain field, and he's now looking for investors to come into it. So probably he's the only Ghanaian who is likely to become
private business.
Exactly, to become a major player in the oil and gas sector. We have to pray that he gets the right investors to come in and start working in that field as well. Yeah.
Well, let's get into the daily graphic now. MDA's old graphic, a whopping 14 million Ghana cedis. That's according to the managing director. Joseph Sierra Japon's soldiers block inaugurated at 37 Hospital. I'll not go to that because yesterday all the papers were, it was a wash in all the papers, and we did extensive analysis of that. Vice President honors service person for dedication to Wager Leprosarium, Upper Manyakrobo constituency with untapped potential. Let's take a quick look at that, starting with the banner headline. Ministries, departments, and agencies owe the Graphic Communications Group Limited 14 million Ghana cedis. The managing director of the company, Atuafo, has indicated. He said the GCGL had taken an initiative on the instruction of its board of directors to write to the Minister of Finance to enable the MDAs to defray their indebtedness to the state-owned autonomous media house. He said the company had been following up on the issue and expressed the hope that by the end of next month, quote, we'll get a better hand around the matter. We're working through the State Interests and Governance Authority and also the Ministry of Information to get a certain clarity on that. They are autonomous to some extent, but they are state-owned. And here we are. It's interesting because just this morning we were reading a story about Netco and, same.
Yeah.
You can go to so many of our outfits. The VRA, Gridco, owed a lot, so it underperforms. Tor, and we see what Tor has become.
Yeah.
I don't know why we have this cycle in this country, though. Why? And sometimes, though, why do we wait till debts become quite an overhang? I don't get it.
And these debts, we have to emphasize that are being...
And some of these, just to add, some of these may have been even before the tenure of this current management.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And emphasis that some of these debts, majority of them are owned by the state, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like what's happening in UDS. State University owes the Netco. These guys, MMDCs. As for private people, will pay as you use, isn't it?
Yeah.
But for the state to pay for services rendered to it, it becomes a problem. If you talk of VRA and all of those debts they are owed are by the state.
I think there was a time when we had information that a lot of these state agencies owed the ECG for electricity, including the Ministry of Finance.
Exactly. How can
including the Ministry of Finance?
The ministry that sanctions payment, say, owe ECG for services that you've been provided with long ago. Why? So I think that the state itself should now decide to say, for me to have my organs running so well, my agencies running so well, I need to ensure that I pay for services rendered.
Right.
This thing that we say that business thrive when friends and family pay for services rendered, it must be the same principle in the state-run corporations, such that government will see that the corporations will run effectively and efficiently when I pay for services rendered. Because the monies are there. Why aren't we able to pay?
Well,
don't they budget for them? Money is released for those. Why are they owing?
There's even more. So the managing director also cited the government's textbook project, in which the GCGL took part as a printer and delivered the books ahead of schedule, saying the company was yet to be paid for work done. So you get slapped from all ends, and somehow you must still do what you do, put out your paper, and still satisfy your readers, still maintain, if not improve on your quality with a hobbled, purse, basically.
It's serious. I think we have to change from that attitude where we all stated because it's our own. So no, let's gloss over them and move on. It doesn't help.
Let's take a quick look at the international front. French forces seize shipment of weapons. There's also Biden's revamp of Democratic Party primary faces final vote, and Peru's Congress fails to agree on holding early elections. There's also Ukraine-EU membership being rebuffed. But Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has honored a female national service person, Donna Elikplim Agbeshi, for her dedicated service to the Weija Leprosarium, where she did her service and took care of the cured lepers. Dr. Bawumia, who is a life patron of the Cured Lepers Aid Committee, presented a citation of recognition to Ms. Agbeshi, I beg your pardon, at the commemoration of this year's World Leprosy Day at the Weija Leprosarium in Accra. And pictured there, Father Andrew Campbell. And the Vice President has shown some interest in this. In fact, there have been lots of events to do with the lepers that he's been at. I remember when Father Campbell had a book to launch, partly based to raise funds and all of that for the leprosarium. He was there as well. It's been quite a while, but I led a team there from church. This must have been sometime around 2010 or 11, thereabouts. To them, and it's really good that we reach out to.
Yeah. So it's good that the Vice President...
call them marginalized in society because of the reactions, misconceptions we often have about them, even when they are cured.
Yeah.
Even when they are cured.
I remember in 2010, 11, I did a documentary on the Cape Coast lepers. I think that was my first major documentary, and anytime I listen to that, I'm like, oh, wow. And look, if you see them, they are fun to be with.
Oh yeah, they are.
But our misconception of can we be like them? But it's not. How do you call it? Infectious? Yeah. That's not how it's.
I mean, there are stages of infection, and at a point they are cured, and they can't transmit anything to you.
So those are the leprosariums. I'm not sure are the kind of people you expect to transfer the thing to you. So let's get close. Let us make them feel part of the community. You know.
It's not as though we should make them feel they are a part of us.
But no.
They are part of us.
That is just seeing them be. But do we make them feel so? We don't. We keep them in a certain corner, and then what? We don't go there. We don't. We should. Some of them. I mean, when I did that documentary in Cape Coast, some of them have been there. Their families have never come to them, apart from the time they brought them there.
True.
Why?
True.
So,
good question. Constituency Watch in the middle spread of the paper. I'll not get into it, but it focuses on Upper Manyakrobo this time. Okay. And I love this bit that the Daily Graphic is doing. From time to time, it's with Haruna Yusuf Wumpany, and he highlights these constituencies. Okay. And you'll see lots of constituencies with huge potential, yet,
nothing.
Like you saw in Bodia, on the way to Asankragwa and others. Chaotic scenes.
Yeah.
On the back page of the paper, Geodrill builds home economics block for Tamasco. That's it for the Daily Graphic.
Okay, now the Daily Guide, Ghana to get War College. 12 grabbed for carjacking and murder. Apreku joins NPP race. Manager caged over musician's brother's death. Robbers kill, you say robbers, eh? What's the right way to pronounce it?
Robbers.
Okay. Robbers kill 3 at Goat Shore.
English is not so phonetic compared to other languages like French and Spanish. That's why you can say rough, and yet you say cough.
Okay, all right then. You're the English teacher. Let me share with you details of the carjacking thing because I think it's heavy. Now, in a major breakthrough, police arrested 12 suspected members of a carjacking gang involved in a series of robberies and murders across 3 regions. The suspects are Prince Opuni, Kwabna Chei Bafo, Jeffrey Jumo alias Jeff, Clifford Opoku alias Spider, Samuel Adom, William Ansa, Bernard Edujemfi, Anthony Teria alias Wizzy, Andrew Kwame Usu, Musa Sule, Yawa Champon, and Charles Lutherford. The police, in a statement signed by the Director of Public Affairs, ACP Grace Ansa Akrofi, said the gangsters operated in the Greater Accra, Ashanti, and Eastern regions during one of the carjacking operations at Brofiedru near Ahenema Kokobin in the Ashanti region. Suspect Jeffrey Jomo shot and killed one of his victims, according to investigations into the syndicate activities, the statement indicated. And look, if you see the number of cars that these guys have taken from people, Ben, just look at that. Just you know, a number of the vehicles they've
look at those.
I mean,
wow.
Charlie,
I see a Lexus in there. I see a Ford in there.
You know, the new version of Toyota Pathfinder. Oh man, jeez.
We have to be careful of
the way
things are.
I mean, if you're a young person and you see someone drive a certain car, you don't need to admire it so much such that even when you don't have the means to get it, you want to use every means just to own one or to live a life that someone is living. Stay in your lane. Your time will come. Everyone has his time, you know.
If you make greed your creed, it will nail you. That's the whole bit.
Okay, all right then. Let me end with that, Ben.
The final newspaper, no Ghana card bears the name Reverend Victor Kusi Boateng in our database. That's according to the NIA boss, Professor Ken Atefua. But the Member of Parliament for North Tong has still taken up the matter, saying, in fact, that what the NIA is saying corroborates his story. GAF denies killing 7 innocent people in Bawku. It's a story we brought to you this morning in the news. Vote for a candidate Ghanaians will prefer. Alan Kyerematen says so. But I'd like to focus on page 2.
Okay.
Hannah Adu holds a master's degree in economics. She quit as sales manager of insurance company to become a poultry farmer in Mankesim. So growing up in a farming home, Hannah Adu defies all odds to venture into agribusiness to support her education and life. The young, ambitious lady took up this career 8 years ago and has since employed other women and young people on her poultry farm.
Oh, good.
As the founder and chief executive officer of HA Farms based in Mankesim in the Central Region, she produces a range of nutritious and reasonably priced food items including eggs, poultry, snails, catfish, vegetables, and food crops. As she told this paper that she worked to produce these protein to help her neighborhood and the nation as a whole, while also keeping the health of the nation in mind. In the last 5 years, Hannah has employed 5 persons, comprising 3 females and 2 males. I am looking at the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
I'm looking at not being bogged down by economics. I'm an economist or whatever. I read economics. I want to stay in that setting. Office, white collar job and all of that. She's got her hands dirty, but by doing so, she has created jobs. Now, imagine, Hannah has created 5 jobs, and who knows what the spin-off job effects could be. If all of us were, not everyone will be entrepreneurial, but if many more young people were, can you imagine the number of jobs we would create? How much that would reduce unemployment and underemployment. So I just felt I would highlight
it's a good thing.
Her story, especially as the poultry industry in Ghana is bleeding badly. Badly.
It's good, and it's a good example for a lot of our graduates who are always saying that there are no jobs. When I look on the street and I'm like, if I don't have a job, I'm sure I will be selling iced water in traffic. I won't feel shy.
I mean, the thing is, if you're not going to be able to do anything, so to speak, if there are no opportunities, what you want are not available.
Create one.
And if you will go hungry, and if you may be forced to steal or something, at least something is better than nothing.
Yeah. So look, this lady said, well, I'm an insurance person, but maybe I'm not comfortable. I don't feel what I'm doing. You know, sometimes you work in an environment and you feel that there's more to what you want to do than what you're
just
doing.
Love the tag, sales manager. Sales manager with
and then you're
with
just
nothing.
There. Leave and create something, and don't be afraid. Sometimes people get scared of failure, and that's why.
But
and that's why we
always
don't
come
try.
with some fear.
Yes.
But overcoming the fear is what makes.
So my point is that you don't have to fear failing. Like some people say, you know, fail forward.
Yeah.
When you fail, there are lessons in there. You pick them, learn from them, and then you try to, better yourself at the next attempt. So in everything, look, people fail. So the people we celebrate today, they failed woefully at the beginning, at a point in their lives.
Some of them, yeah.
You know, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, the Apple founder, what's his name? Steve Jobs. I mean, look, they went through difficult periods just to break through. I read a story where Indum lost $1 million in a day. What would that do to you? You may say, I won't try again. But no, they tried and today they are where they are. So don't be scared at all. This lady is not afraid of the challenges that will come her way. She started and today she's better off, isn't it? She's better off than when she started on the first day.
That's the
and
whole point.
she'll be better off the next year, the next 5 years.
It also reminds me of Ghana's mushroom queen. I've forgotten her name, but she also started in a similar way with just a few CDs, mushrooms. And today, what she does with mushrooms, and if you see her outfit,
huge.
Start small. The Chronicle, West Hills Mall murder, deceased was running away from police, court told, and a Blackwa has failed to nail us. That's according to the NIA. Alan Cash is our own, says Techiman Traditional Council, and that's the Chronicle newspaper. We have to go. What is the last?
Custodian. Farouk opens emergency and trauma center at Yendi Hospital. That's the MP for Yendi, Farouk Aliu Mahama. He's built an emergency and trauma center at the hospital, and it was commissioned this week. 300-bed housing facility named after Just Spawn boss commissioned. NIA rubbishes a Blackwest fraud claim, says no record of Reverend Kusi Boateng in its database. MPP battles over early or late Congress. Yesterday, they couldn't reach an agreement. So that those are the stories in the Custodian here. The publisher says NIA counters are Blackwest claims. Meet Francis Adainimo, Techiman Traditional Council welcomes Alan. Read the Court of Arbitration ruling that rejected case against Ghana. PAC warns officials against backdating receipt. Those are the stories on the front page of the publisher.
I'm sure you want to know what I'll be talking about this morning.
Yeah.
Ghana in the intensive care unit, ICU.
Hey.
The farce of our leadership and why we must do something radical about it. That's what I'll be talking about.
Okay.
But today is the 4th of February, actually tomorrow, and so we're doing this in advance. It's your birthday. Happy birthday to Samuel Intim, a.k.a. Papayao of Alajo Paper House. It's from your aunt, Baby Ya, from your sister, Awo, and the entire Intim family. We wish you the best. May God bless you, and may all your wishes be granted by the Lord. We love you. That's the message to you, Samuel Intim, a.k.a. Papayao.
Ben, this is for you. Says, good morning, Kojo. Tell Benjamin I really love the energy and dedication he's brought onto the morning show. He reads the news, sitting from 6 a.m. till 10 a.m. That's a great service. Does he really make time to serve his wife at dawn anyway? Laugh out loud. The segment he's brought in is so fantastic. I monitor him every morning before leaving for work. More grace and strength from God, I ask for him. The other question, I will repeat it, but I'll ask you for details. Back door. Whether you get time for Madame.
Tell him to get me a wife. On that note, we take a bit of a breather. We'll return with sports. Do stay.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Where were you born?
In Bukum.
You were born in Bukum?
Yeah, Bukum.
So how was your beginning like?
Well, it's not easy. You know, like Bukum always like fights all over. You know, when I was 6 years, I used to play soccer. And 6 years, and there's this guy called John. Yeah. He was a boxer and he was beating everybody. He was very good. So I told the coach that I wanted to fight this guy. And they put the gloves on me, and the guy beat me bad. So after the fight, I vomit. So after the vomit, I started training, and I decided to, beat him.
You wanted to beat him back?
I wanted to beat him back before maybe if I was stop boxing, I was stop boxing. But when I beat him, I realized that, oh, okay, this is what I can do. Then I started training, and I became a boxer.
I've heard many people talk about how you are so good with the football. Why did you not do football?
Well, you know, in this life, sometimes I believe in Allah. Whatever Allah chooses for you, sometimes it's what you're gonna do. I used to play soccer, but at the end of the day, I ended up being a boxer. Being a boxer, I became a world champion, and I fought the best guys out there. So I think I have to give thanks to Almighty Allah.
If you're not a boxer, what would you be?
Well, I'm very... No, I think even if I'm not in sports, I'm very, very brilliant guy in school. Yeah. I used to be first or second. I only complete JSS, but I understand what you say. Maybe I can say what I can say because it's like you have to be smart. You have to learn. Even if you finish your masters, you still have to learn in life. You see, so we have life knowledge and educational knowledge. So I think I have all. So I thank God.
What was your upbringing like?
Well, it's very, very tough because I remember my father was very, very poor, and we were staying in a place called Akotolante, and we have a 1-bedroom. So my father would send me to go and borrow money from somebody called Agonu. So when we borrow the money, maybe 20 cedis, and we would come and buy gari and fry fish. Then we all sit down together. That time, you know, when they made the gari, they put the fish on top. Yes. So we all chop together. After that, we would just sweep the floor and we put a mat on the floor. And my father would sleep on the bed, then we sleep on the floor. I remember that thing.
How many siblings do you have?
Well, we five siblings. I'm the third. But in my father's side, we only two, me and my brother, Emmanuel Clottey. Okay.
Emmanuel Clottey, it's your younger brother?
Yeah, he's my senior brother.
Your senior brother, actually?
Yeah, I'm the younger one. Not the footballer.
Not the footballer, okay.
Emmanuel Clottey, he's also a boxer.
Oh, okay. So, talk to me, how were you able to stand out within these difficulties and succeed in your boxing career? Well,
this is how it is. You know, in the first place, you have to know where you come from. You were poor, you have to admit it. You were poor. If you come from rich family, you know that you come from rich family. So far as you come from poor background, you always have to think. Even if when you're making the money, you always have to think that, you know what, this is where I come from. So I have to do this and I have to do that. Let me tell you something. When I fought with Manny Pacquiao, I made the money that I make, you know, it was all about this percentage thing. Whatever that I make. I remember when I was coming from US, after the fight, I was coming from US, I have almost like $170,000 on me. But I was sitting in economy class. See, I did not buy business or kind of that. So it's because I know where I come from. When I make the money I bought houses in East Legon. Because you have to know where you come from. You know? Everybody, when you started making that kind of money or started fighting, you started becoming more popular, the women, they always going to be there. But you have to do whatever you do in a wise way, you see. So sometimes it's about you, you know. I'm still fine and I'm still good, but I'm still living around Bawku.
Because you grew up in Bawku, so definitely that's your place. So what motivates you?
Well, what motivates me sometimes, I feel like I have to make it, you know. It's not about that. I wasn't thinking about the money, but I wanted to make it, you know, because I dropped out from school. So me being a boxer, I have to make sure that I become a world champion. Because if I don't be a world champion, that means I failed the whole Joshua Clottey. But drop out from school, becoming a boxing world champion is more or less like a master degree. Yeah. So I never feel ashamed of dropping from school.
Why did you drop out of school?
Well, because I was very, very good in amateur. The guys were there, Achu was there, Joshua Nkrumah was there, Tijani was there. I beat all of them in amateur. I was very, very, like 15 years, and I was beating them. So I got a chance of entering into the national team, the Black Bombers. And they said we will travel to Nigeria for IBA game. So I weighed the games and the school. The school, I'm paying school fees, and my father even don't have money to pay the school fees, and sometimes it's very, very hard. And me going to the games, I'll make $24. So I realized $24 is huge.
And around that time?
Yeah, that was 1993.
That's some huge money.
Huge money. So I said, you know, school, go wait for me, I'll come. So I went to the IBA games, I won bronze. When I won bronze, we came back to Ghana and we went to Sierra Leone. We fought one of their president, Strasser, the former president, called us there. We went there, we fought, I won gold medal. So I realized that, you know what, let me forget about the school. So I started concentrating on boxing. It works.
But I could have combined the school and then the boxing.
Well, no, I will not do that because, listen, I used to do that around, you know, after the school, I put my uniform in my pocket.
Oh, okay.
So I ran from Awusagom to the gym, Bukum. So it's like that, but when I travel to IBA games in Nigeria, I realized that no, let's go off.
What did your father say?
Well, poor father. So far as I'm just doing good in boxing. The thing is, I beat the guys. Those that they are in the team before I came, I beat all of them in the team. So it was like let the boy fight because he's doing very well, Mr. Akakpo. Yeah. He came on board and started helping us with outfit and the money. So we realized that, you know, where we are is good. It's not only me, including my brother too. So we just have to concentrate on boxing. But so far as it was me becoming a West, I won national title, West Africa title, ABC African title. Yeah. I went to America. I won NABC. I won IBF International. I won WBA International, and I won IBF World title. I'm a graduate in boxing. So,
graduate in boxing?
Yeah, so it's the same thing as that.
but tell me, quick one, because I had a conversation with Larry Kingston on this very show, and Larry Kingston was telling me about the early days growing up, how he used to spar with you. And
yeah, let me tell you a story about him. You know, I'm not sure Larry Kingston knows about what I'm going to say. But he was the one that motivated me that I started building a house.
Wow.
Yeah, because, you know, there was a time we were standing at the high street.
Okay.
And he said, oh, he's going to a site. And he wanted to buy KK.
Yes.
To take it to the site and give it to the guys that they're working for.
Yes.
I felt like, wow, this guy really said something. So I started thinking, wow, the guy said he's going to a site. It makes good, you know, going to a site. That means he's building a house. Yeah. So when I fought with Margarito, I make, the fight was $100,000. They took whatever they have to take. I got $57,000. The only thing that is in my mind.
It means that $43,000 went to other expenses.
Yeah, the 10% goes to the trainer, 33% to the manager. So the 57, the only thing in my mind is to build the house, go to sites because of what like say. So I think I left $10,000 in my account in US. I brought the rest to Ghana. I bought a land in one guy called Salenko. Yeah. I bought the land. It was almost more or less like a 2-plot, but it wasn't complete 2-plot. I bought the land 100 million.
That's like 10,000.
Yes. So when I bought the land, I started building. I gave one guy called he's a contractor. I forget his name. I called him now. You know what? I have 500 million old currency. I wanted to build a house, and the guy said, "Okay, you charge me $500,000, 500 million for the whole building."
The whole house. Okay.
So I said, "Okay, in that case, I have 300 million. I'll give it to you." So I
will top you up the 200 million
later.
Okay.
So I gave the 300 million to him. He started building the house for me. I was so happy that I started building a house. I'll go to the site.
You're going to move away from one bedroom with
exactly the
your own house. I can imagine.
So I was very happy. Even that thing came to when HBO was making some video of me. They came to Ghana.
They were putting together a documentary of you.
A documentary of me. They put the house in their documentary because I was building a house. So I was very, very happy that I was doing it. And then at the end of the day, when the house got to a certain level, I did not get it because I lost to Margarito. Yeah. So it's kind of hard. And the promoters too, they decided to give me $30,000 fights. So the $30,000 fight, the manager is taking 33%. 10% to the trainer.
That's 43% gone.
Yeah, exactly.
So $30,000, how much is left?
Well, sometimes I got like 15,000, 12,000. And I always like, if I have $10,000, I'll come to Ghana, change it, put like maybe 50 million in there, because I said I wanted to build a house. And where I come from, there is nothing. And I know my father is poor or poorer. I wanted to change that thing to, make it at least stable, sound mind, where you can get the money to take care of your family. I change it. I've changed it. I've changed. I'm very, very okay now. Forget about you don't hear me in social media. That is me. I don't like it. I don't like people talking about me. I don't like people doing all this taking photo. I don't like it. I felt like I wanted to, get money to eat, take care of my family, and but stay in a humble life, in a easy place.
Because you're from a humble home.
Is that?
I say you're from a humble home. You're from a humble beginning. So
exactly.
You have to remain humble no matter where you get to.
Some people, they don't. You can't ship a woman from US or maybe Italy, London to Ghana because of just, sorry to have used that word, sex. If you're doing that, your money will not stay. That is one thing that makes sportsmen go broke. When you're doing those things,
did anything like that?
No, I don't do those things. I don't do that. I don't even ship you from Kumasi to Accra because of one sex.
You're very loyal to the Jamestown girls, isn't it?
No, not really. I've trust me. In somebody wanted me to write a book.
Yes,
and
which is very critical. I was actually even going to ask that.
I don't want to write it because all those things, controversies and all kind of that, answering the questions and all kind of that, I'm a type of person who don't want to answer a question. I wanted to be in where I'll feel comfortable. When you write a book, there are so many celebrities that I have dated. So when you write a book and women are all kind of gonna come in there, then they mention we're all gonna be.
But Joshua, just a quick one. You decide the story to tell, right? Now you're telling me about your background. It's not every single information you give to me. There's certain information you feel that no, because there are certain things that you will go to your grave with. So if you're writing a book, it's not everything you put in that book.
But somebody will never gonna write you because so that's when you are like I fought with Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll come to that man because.
And I fought with Manny Pacquiao. 30 years I'm getting now. But it will be surprised that 2023 I bought a Range Rover Velar because I am smart. Because I feel like where I live is very, very comfortable. So people will definitely gonna ask you why people that you have mingled with, you have to, what happened? And you're still standing. And I fought only 2 fights. Only 2 fights to make money. Only 2 fights.
Out of almost 57
2 fights. 2 fights that we're talking about money, only 2 fights. Miguel Cotto and Manny Pacquiao. And even that.
What about the other fights? It's only 47. Almost.
That is like $80,000, $100,000,
$10,000, $20,000.
Oh, $30,000. And they're taking 33%, 10% to the trainer, paying tax in America. So end of the day, you pay the second trainer, you pay Cartman. But Cotto fight was $750,000. Margarito Pacquiao fight was 1.350 and a pay-per-view. You see, so everything, almost like more than 50%, but I'm still living because the way I'm living a humble life. It's not about this celebrity thing and all kind of that. It doesn't, to me, I don't believe in those things.
I think Like Kinsey has made a really great impact in your life. I know one day he was also speaking so well of you. He spoke about how the two of you were.
We used to be very, very good friends.
Yeah, he mentioned it actually. This very show that I'm talking about. That I had like Kinsey, and he was talking about how he was sparring with you when you were growing up as kids and all that.
Yeah.
Were you a street fighter too? He said he was a street fighter.
Yeah. If no,
he said Jamestown, if you don't fight, you will not survive.
Yeah. That's how Bawku is. About fighting all of that. Even if you go there around 6 years, 5 years, they fight each other. That's how the neighborhood is. You see, so if not because of box sounds, I can fight. Street fights.
Boxing has humbled you?
Yeah, boxing has humbled me. And the last time that I threw my hand on somebody, because the person hit me first, I won him. He hit me again. I realized that we in football, he hit me again because we used to pray a lot. He hit me for the third time. So when he hit me first one, I won. The second time I won. Then the third one, when he hit me, the second one when he hit me, I come up, I hit me a little bit. That was the first time in my life.
And what happened? And what happened to that little bit?
Well, the little bit maybe it make you learn. I don't know what happened, but it make you learn because at the end of the day, you don't do that.
You're a professional fighter.
Yeah, but he hits me. We playing soccer, and he hits my face, and I want him stop that thing. I'm older than you, and we are not on the same level. So if I'm playing soccer with you and you hit me next time, you won't gonna get it free. You. And we play Bawku, and he hits me again. So I realized that he don't respect.
Yeah.
And he's gonna hit me third time. So I retaliate. So that was the first and last time.
So did you land him on the ground?
Oh no like that. Like when I was like I bowed my head down. Yeah. So as I was coming up, then do like this. So when I woke up like this, then I felt the point. Then me too, I do pop pop pop. So like that. That one I did that because I want him to know that you don't do that to a boxer. But what happened was that we just talk about it, we said it, I called him, I told him they shouldn't do that. Now we fight.
And it could even put you in trouble for fighting a civilian.
Well, it's not a fight. I did not fight. I'm not fighting him.
But people, it depends on how the narrative would go. Sometimes you cannot control the narrative. They will tell you, Joshua Clottey went to the football field instead of going there to play football.
He did. People talk about it, but you know, those that they knows me that I'm not troublemaker.
You're not that kind of
and
person.
I don't really go out. I don't do certain things. Trust me, I don't do certain things. I used to go to club. I don't know the last time in 10 years I went to club. I don't do all those things. See. I feel like I'm still have to be disciplined as Joshua Clottey. So I still sleep like the time I used to sleep when I was in boxing.
Active in boxing?
Yeah, 9:30, I have to be at home. Whatever happens at home, whatever happens, I sleep. By 10:30, 11, I sleep. That's how I am.
Let me come back to the book aspect. If you write a book, Joshua, the younger generation, the unborn generation, when they grow up, they will know that there was one man called Joshua Clottey, whose life impacted many people within his neighborhood. And they can learn and follow on that path.
Well, I'll do it.
Book, you want to do it?
I'll do it.
Give me 5.
I'll do it. Because he said I'll do it. I'll call the guy to come, I'll do it. Initially, I was thinking, but I'll do it.
Yeah,
he said the same thing.
Yeah, you have to get something like that.
I will. I think, and I have a lot of stories
to share.
I have a lot to share because
you just talked about how you lived in the same room, one bedroom for that matter, with many other people. Then you sit around the same boat. But
and if you look, I think the most motivated one too is. I used to live in East Legon. I have a house in East Legon. I have a house in Wager. And I used to live in East Legon because you were all over. You wanted to be too low.
Yeah.
You bought a house in East Legon. You live in East Legon.
So I'm no longer from Jamestown anymore. I'm now
in East Legon.
East Legon.
If you talk about I live in East Legon. And I guess to a time I have 6 bedrooms, swimming pool and everything. I was paying people just to wash the swimming pool, but nobody swim. And 4 bedroom was there that nobody was sleeping
in it.
In that room. I was there with one my guy. So I told him, you know what? Let me volunteer money and fix the Wager place nice. Then I'll move to there. So I have almost $30,000, and I changed everything complete there. I make it the way I wanted to make it. And I moved from East Legon to Wager.
And what happened to the house at East Legon?
I rented it. That's why I'm comfortable. Because you see, it's a motivation.
Another source of revenue for you. Yes, because
I have to, I will. I will. You know, there are so many people that they call themselves celebrities. They are in deep trouble. But because it's kind of very hard.
They're shiny outside?
Yeah, exactly. This kind of very hard.
It's not
they are not fine. they are going through many pains. But you sometimes it's up to you to stand on your toe, to move and do what you think is best for you. Where I was living, I am fine. It's 4-bedroom suites. My room is very, very big because at the end of the day, one room you're gonna stay in. You don't even sleep in the whole room. The other room is still balls and the jerseys are sleeping there because I'm still living with one person. And at the end of the day, the compound and everything is okay. And I have what give me food.
Yeah.
What else again? At the end of the day, we're gonna die.
If you just joined us here on Prime Take, we are speaking to Joshua Clottey, a former world champion, sharing with us his life story. One big revelation he just gave us is that he'll be writing a book, and that book should be an interesting book for anyone out there, even the unborn generation, to want to read and know the story of the man who once lived in a single bedroom house with his siblings and the entire family, but built mansions. Joshua, talk to me about your fights. What was the most difficult fight that you've ever had?
We just talked about this thing this afternoon. It was Gutierrez. It's not Margarito, it's not Cotto, it's not Pacquiao, it's Gutierrez. After that fight, I can't even cough.
Huh?
I cough like because my ribs. The guy really
was he giving you body punches?
He really worked on me. He worked on my body, and anytime he's going to my body, he hit me hard to extend that he realized that there's so much at stake because it was my first fight on HBO.
Yeah.
So I have to sell myself for the world. So it's kind of very tough. And the guy was 25-0, 18 knockouts. So it was very, very tough fight. After that fight, trust me, I sat in my hotel room. I was like, wow, this game is not a joke. Because I was feeling pains all over. It took me, I even pea blood.
What?
A pure red blood after the fight. That fight was really hell. So, but you know, after that fight, I got Margarito world title. And it was really hell.
What was it like for you to finally win a world title? Because earlier you mentioned that that is also your master's or your degree in boxing.
I fought with enemy. Enemy is Zabjuda. Zabjuda threatened me with gun because I mentioned his name after fight that I want like a call out.
Yeah.
I wanted to fight with Zabjuda. So that I was an undisputed welterweight champion.
Okay.
So it wasn't go well with him, and he came to the gym. I think we didn't go to gym on Monday, and Tuesday we went to gym. When we got to the gym, at the entrance, we saw a lot of cars parking. So I asked my trainer, Kwame Asante, what is going on here? Or maybe they're shooting a video. But when we climbed to the upstairs, we realized that we saw Zabjuda and his boys. So as soon as he saw me, he said, as I saw him, I said, oh, this is Zabjuda. Like I was saying in my head.
Yeah.
And it was like, do I want to spy? I said, do I want to spy for what? He said, you don't want to spy? I'll pay you. How much you want? I said, I don't need your money. If you want us to fight, let's fight real fight. You're undisputed champion. I wanted to fight you. I know I can beat you. So let's fight. He said, what you talking about? You don't want to spy me, you calling me out. And I said, if I call you, so what? So because of that, we started arguing. Then he put gun. So the gym people that they are in the gym, they came. And they was like, oh, you should come down, not come down. That time, I was even talking. When he pulled a gun, I was still talking. But where my heart is, point of death. Because these guys, they don't respect you. They can shoot to claw dead. So I just wanted to go out just to run. Now we were in Brooklyn, we have to go to Bronx. So I told the trainer that, Asante, when we decided to go off from the gym, go home. I thought, let's leave this place fast. These guys, they don't respect. Since that, I never stepped my foot on that gym. 4 years time.
I can't die now.
Because I escaped from them. 4 years time, I was the #1 because I fought Chamonix Everest for the elimination #1 spot, and Zabdula was the second. And Kyerematen scared to fight me, so he vacated the title. So #1 and #2 have to fight. So it was me and Zabdula. When they made the fight, I made an interview that I wanted to fight this guy so bad because he did something to me 4 years ago. When we went to the press conference in Las Vegas, he was like, he used to spar with me. He always beat me up. He's gonna stop me in this fight. I said, let me tell you something. It's not me that you used to spar. It was my senior brother, Emmanuel, was the one that I'm Joshua. And he was like, are you not the one that I used to spar in Greece? I said, you never spar with me before. I was the one that you threatened me with the gun. Then he realized that where he's in danger. And he said he's still gonna beat me, so he's gonna give me rim. It sells rim. So he's gonna give me 4 pieces of rim if I won the fight. And if he beats me, I have to walk from Las Vegas to Bronx. And I said, okay, then it's a deal. I beat him up bad to extent that he did not give me the rim.
And you've already spoken about the 2 fights that has made you money, despite fighting as many as 47 times, if my mathematics are right. But Joshua, tell me, there were so many interesting stories about that fight against Manny Pacquiao. At what point did you decide that you were going to fight Pacquiao? Because at that point, he was at the peak of his career as well.
Well, that was the time that I'm fearless. I don't scare nobody. I wanted to fight everybody. I used to call their name. But that time Pacquiao was not there. I used to call Shamosley, Oscar De La Hoya. I wanted to fight those kind of people because I wanted to make my name, fight them. But the thing is, the Pacquiao fight came through because my fight with Miguel Cotto. They know I won that fight and they robbed me. So when Pacquiao and Mayweather was negotiating, it was taking time. And the day that it fixed for Pacquiao to fight was going. So they realized that they have to give the fight to Joshua because Pacquiao beat up Cotto badly. And I fought with Cotto, they felt I won. So they gave me that fight. It was 7 weeks notice. And I was even in Ghana when they called me and told me that this is another. In the first, I read it on Boxing Scene. And they called me, the manager called me and said, no kind of that. But that fight, right, I think I end my career too early because of maybe the Pacquiao fight. What happened? Because the manager is getting 33%. And the 33% is killing me.
You couldn't have renegotiated that figure?
I renegotiated with him and I wanted him to take 25.
Even 25 was still on the high?
It's still high. He locked the contract that if I make $100,000, that means the money that he gives me will cease. But his percentage, he locked it. It was the money, it was the trainer who would make me enter into all this bad contract because I told the trainer that, Asante, let's take this contract to New York and give it to a lawyer because me and you, we are all not lawyers. So the lawyer will take care of the contract for us and will tell us what we should do. Asante was like, oh, we should sign.
You the man is a good man. Gotten a Ghanaian lawyer to
anybody, anybody, even somebody who knows
understand the legal language.
Yeah, even anybody who knows book can just understand this. But Asante foxed me, and it was like, oh, because we were in a different manager, and the manager wanted me to stop with Asante to go to a proper trainer.
Different manager.
So I was like, no, I still want my trainer. So because of that, it was like we want a new manager, and we signed with that guy. So the 33%, the Cotto fight, I make 430. He make $280,000. So that thing really hurt me.
He made almost half of your money.
Yes. So because of that, I always cry every fight. After the fight, I always cry. Look at the $30,000. He's making 33.
So terminating the contract was going to.
I took him to the commissioner. But what happened was that the commissioner, the commissioner lawyer, was the lawyer for the manager. So it was like
you went to the wrong place. So you're coming to report me to my father.
Exactly. So I said everything that was good. We signed a contract at his office. So the contract is supposed to be null and void. They have to terminate the contract because they know we didn't sign the contract in front of the commissioner. And in law, you have to sign the contract in the commissioner. They said, oh, they still respect the contract is valid. They have to honor the contract. And so that means 3 more years.
So you were afraid of sanctions?
Well, no.
If you terminate the contract, certain times it comes with sanctions, penalties.
Well, they were always going to come and get their percentage. They were always going to get it because the commissioner said they respect the contract. That's why I said we those that we go to outside as a boxers to fight, it's not easy for us. They never respect us. They never give you chance. When you mess up,
you have to make your own chance.
Exactly. When you mess up one, they will take you off from the line. Because initially, class level, they don't even like you to be where you are. Look at the fightings that I fought. When I signed with Top Rank, I fought with Shamoni Avres. He was 23-0. I fought with Corrales. I fought with Zabjuda. I fought with Manny Pacquiao. I fought with Cotto. I fought with Margarito. Look at the people that I fought. They are all legends. Because the money that they will give you, they wanted you to work for it, sweat for it. So you always have to make training your friend. I can train. Nobody will tell me. Ask my trainer. I don't wait for trainers to call me to train. Because that is the only thing that can make you successful. I can train. I train a lot. And I feel like I have to make it. And it gets to a time I put my name there. I fought the best. One fight that I did that was bad. People started crucifying me. But it is what it is. I never insult before. I always say sorry. The Pacquiao fight.
Yeah, exactly where I'm coming back to.
That fight, right? The manager already accept $1 million for the payments. I came in, negotiate to 1.350. After that,
it was a fight you could have gotten more.
A fight I supposed to get like $2 million was the pay. And see what happens to the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view, he have negotiated. It was $100 pay-per-view. Each view was $100. He have negotiated for me for only $3. And the $3 too, he have make it like after 30,000 buyers. And after 300,000 buyers. 300,000.
So you were basically fighting for free.
So if only 300,000 people bought the pay-per-view, I will not get nothing. If 301, then I'll get $3.
$3.
Why are you going to do that? I negotiated and they said no, if I don't take the fight, I should go. So I took the fight. And the manager is making 33% in all pay-per-view, including the fight money. When I finish the fight, I'm making $85,000. The manager is making $53,000 in the night. The pay-per-view, the first pay-per-view that come, $700,000. The manager make almost like 300 plus. So the
Joshua, do you regret these things? Do you regret some of these things you did?
I regret signing with that manager. I regret signing with that manager. I regret listening to that trainer who told me to sign that contract. And because of that, I started becoming a strong person. I started becoming, you cannot talk for me. It's me who will make the final decision. So no trainer in this world will make a decision for me. Never, ever.
Well, you know what to expect at this time of morning right after sports. It's been quite an interaction with Joshua Clottey. But time now, as we welcome you back on the AM show, for me to serve you my blunt thoughts for this Friday morning. I've titled it, Ghana in the Intensive Care Unit, the farce of our leadership, and why we must do something radical about it now. Permit me to emphasize, Ghana 4, as my initial comment, that leadership in Ghana is a big farce. We pretend to have leaders, political leaders, and they likewise pretend to lead. We all know most of them are square pegs and round holes, yet we sit and watch them with arms akimbo, almost in some state of shock when they fail to deliver the boons our hearts desire. We have far too many crooks in high places, far too many predators clothed in political, religious garb in this country who prey on the gullible, the weak, the innocent, and the one merely seeking a scintilla of hope. In biblical analogy, Jesus, the Good Shepherd, offers up his life freely for his sheep, mankind, all of us. The shepherds, or the ones supposed to be that here in our country, are anything but sacrificial. They rather devour the sheep and do so mercilessly without a thought about tomorrow. We also have the problem of our 1992 Constitution, which, while having served us pretty well over time, sorely needs some tweaking. Why? Well, why not? Why did we have the 2010 Constitutional Review Commission do its work to the cost of the Ghanaian taxpayer, only for the resulting work to be made to collect dust? This same partial mass of our laws has been used variously to enrich the already rich and further impoverish the already poor. The law has been twisted, and so the powerful have their way, and the masses do not even have a say. We have successfully and dangerously created a society where some are primus inter pares, first among equals, though our constitution guarantees the rule of law and our common equality before it. We have created presidents with monstrous powers, and we all see what monsters do in the movies we watch, don't we? Like the famed writer and orator Robert Ingersoll said about Abraham Lincoln on January the 16th, 1883, during a speech in Washington, D.C. If you want to find out what a man is to the bottom, give him power. Any man can stand adversity. Only a great man can stand prosperity. Our leaders with this constitution have prospered. The rest of us, not so much. In fact, many have been impoverished and pushed into an early grave, while many of our misleaders and their backers have moved from zero to hero, shame to fame, nothing to everything in just a short space of time. It is high time we as a people reflected on our laws, the kind of leadership we have been served in this Fourth Republic, and where we mean to go and what we desire to achieve as a people. If not, like blind leaders of the blind, as Jesus reveals in Matthew 15:14, we shall all fall into a national ditch that will be very difficult to emerge from. All of this got me thinking about why our leaders are this abysmal in leadership and only good at misleadership. According to Wikipedia, the Pygmalion effect, or Rosenthal effect, is a psychological phenomenon in which high expectations lead to improved performance in a given area. The effect is named for the Greek myth of Pygmalion, the sculptor who fell so much in love with the perfectly beautiful statue he created that the statue came to life. The psychologists Robert Rosenthal and Lenore Jacobson, in their book Pygmalion in the Classroom, borrowed some of the myth by advancing the idea that teachers' expectations of their students affect the students' performance. Rosenthal and Jacobson held that high expectations led to better performance and low expectations led to worse, both effects leading to self-fulfilling prophecy. According to the Pygmalion effect, the targets of the expectations internalize their positive labels, and those with positive labels succeed accordingly. A similar process works in the opposite direction in the case of low expectations. This again got me thinking even further. With all the praise we heap on our misleaders, especially when they are in opposition, and the slack we cut them for quite a while into their tenure, why do they still perform so woefully? Could it be that the Pygmalion effect has no impact at all on them? A few days ago, the Ghana Federation of Labour recently suggested that If most Ghanaians were getting the raw deal of economic haircuts, then Article 71 office holders, the Chief Justice, the President, the Vice President, we know them, ought to do same by taking a 50% haircut on their salaries and emoluments as part of the debt restructuring program and to reduce the pressure on the public purse. I ask, and why not? Look at the unabashed and maybe even reckless spending by the executive arm of government when some ordinary folk cannot even get what they will eat, 1 square meal in a day. I see it when I go round. Our city is getting beaten black and blue by the hard currencies once more. We brought in oil from Russia, claiming it was from Dubai, and even that had not been purchased with gold as we deceitfully told Ghanaians it would. Now at the pumps, fuel prices are beginning to soar again. How, I ask, can we live like this? How can we survive, much less thrive in this flip-flop, this bubble of economic madness? In Ghana, the true sense of wanamoni, or gade chopam nyafu nyafu, and monkey they work, baboon they chop, are so real, it is not even funny. If I may put it bluntly, the people who elect these misleaders, the very people who ought to be served by them, have now become their footstools, their least servants. But contemplate where we find ourselves as a country. How do we emerge from this bog of an economy? Come with me and let's look at where we find ourselves as a country before I deliver my final thoughts. So as I talk about our sustainability of debt and where we find ourselves, look at our debt stock. This was our debt in January 2022. 371.7 billion Ghana cedis. By November, it had ballooned by about 200 million to 575.7 billion Ghana cedis. Take stock of that. Now, if you look at the breakdown of our external debt versus the domestic debt, and this is pretty problematic when it comes to the domestic debt exchange program, 382.1 billion external, 139.1 billion domestic. It means that would also impact the local banks in terms of this domestic debt exchange program, and with a trickle-down effect to each and every one of us who patronize these institutions. But when you look at the status of selected economic indicators, inflation in 2021 was at 12.6%, which was high in the first place. It's now at 54.1%. We've not got the latest one. Gross internal or international reserves, 9.7 billion in 2021, and that is in dollars. Now, where do we find ourselves? $6.2 billion. That's about 3.5 billion shaved off. Months of import cover, 4.4 months. Now it is what? 2.7 months. Precarious situation. We don't even have up to 3 months of import cover. Our balance of payments stands at $510.1 million with a surplus. This was in 2021. In 2022, we had a deficit of $3.6 billion. A surplus of 510 million, a deficit now of 3.6 billion. And you look at the import bill, what we had in 2021, 13 plus billion. And in 2022, it's gone up even further, even as we talk about import substitution, 14.56 billion. But let's look at the DDEP and get some updates. We know there's a new deadline of February the 7th, which is a few days away. Individuals are free not to participate with consequences. However, old bonds may have limited tradability, and those are some of the consequences. Final discussions are ongoing with organized labor and the pension fund trustees. Then you look at it in respect of deadlines. The first deadline, December 19th, second, December 30th. It's been moving on and on. January the 16th, January the 31st. Now we are looking at February the 7th. And looking at the new terms for individual bondholders, you would see that now it's been propagated that those below 59 years would get a coupon of 10% with a maximum maturity of 5 years, which is somewhat better than the initial deal. And for retirees, they would up the ante by another 5%, pushing it to 15% for the same period of 5 years. Now, when you look at that for the same period of 5 years, and then you look at agreements and exemptions, looking at the parties, the status, and the dates, you would see that for pension funds, they've been exempted. That's why we have the red code there. as of December 22, 2022. And then the Ghana Association of Banks, an agreement has been reached. January 23rd, the Ghana Insurance Association, January 26th, the Ghana Security Industry, January the 27th. But for individual bondholders, there has been some promise of exemption, a la what we heard from Martin Kpebu and others, though there has been some backlash as far as that is concerned. Then with the next slide, we look at our public debt in terms of itemization. Our total debt as at the budget presentation was 467.4 billion. And the total debt as of November 2022 stood at 575.7 billion, 93.5% of GDP, with an addition of 108 billion in 2 months. Now, this is data from the Bank of Ghana, but our data is slightly different per our JoyNews computation. And here's why. I'll tell you. But when you look at the total debt as at budget presentation, 467.4 billion. Again, it remains the same in terms of the November 2022 value, 575.7 billion. But we peg it at not 93.5%, 123.6% of GDP, with the addition of 108 billion in 2 months. Why? Because we are pegging our debt portfolio, our debt stock, to the previous year's GDP. And so if you look at it realistically, which is actually what ought to be done, you would see that you would actually be looking at 123.6% of GDP in debt. It is highly unsustainable the way we are going as a country. And if we continue like this, I don't want to be a doomsday prophet, but disaster will happen at some point. We should do everything possible not to get there. As I wrap my blunt thoughts for you today, I would like to re-echo the words of James Madison, who says, "Knowledge will forever govern ignorance, and the people who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power which knowledge gives." Let us thirst, Ghana, for knowledge and its application, which is wisdom, and hold our leaders to account even as we do better ourselves for our motherland. Let's not do NPP, NDC, Party A, Party B. In the end, if the country broke, we'll all be inside. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. I say all these because I am extremely passionate about Amma Ghana and what her future, intricately tied to ours, holds. These are my blunt thoughts for you, served raw, hot, unedited, and undiluted. And as always, God richly bless our motherland and make her great and strong.
The president, his vice, and all who matter within the NPP met and deliberated for hours, but still could not come to a conclusion on a date to elect the new flag bearer. JoyNews understands there are entrenched views within the party relating to whether or not the party must hold an early Congress. General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Frimpong Kodria, told journalists the party will continue consulting until the decision is arrived at.
From steering committee through to National Executive Committee and National Council, it has been resolved that as a party we need to do further consultation on the timelines for the presidential and parliamentary elections. And within the possible shortest time, we will come out with the timelines for our presidential and parliamentary elections.
Among others, the party was expected to announce modalities for its superdelegate conference if there are more than 5 aspirants. But this decision as well could not be taken. The Kyerematen campaign is not too pleased with the delay.
One of the big decisions the New Patriotic Party have to take now is when it will elect its flag bearer ahead of that 2024 election. Indeed, after about 6 hours of meeting here at the Alisa Hotel, in which the president, the vice president, members of parliament, key stakeholders of the NPP were involved, the party could not reach a consensus to decide on when it will elect its flag bearer. Already, Alan Kyerematen and other hopefuls are already on the road campaigning to get that NPP top job. But according to party officials, no agreement has been reached, and because of this, more consultation has to take place. Our understanding is that there's currently two schools of thought within the NPP. One, where the section led by the President Akufo-Addo, saying that if you elect a new flag bearer now, that will take away the spotlight, the power and everything from the president, whilst the other school of thought that says that let us allow the flag bearer early enough to give us enough time to campaign. Reporting for JoyNews, Kweku Asante, Alisa Hotel.
And that was Kweku Asante, our parliamentary affairs correspondent, giving us the scoop there from that meeting yesterday as far as the New Patriotic Party is concerned. So where do we go from here? Where does the party go from here? And does this bode well or ill for the NPP? Joining the conversation, Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng. He's a political scientist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Doc, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
You have followed developments in our Fourth Republic, especially when it comes to the politics of it. And you have seen with the emergence of the NPP at the helm of affairs from the year 2000 till now, what the party has done when it comes to electing flag bearers, the timelines and all of that. But when you look at this current situation, which led to that meeting at which, tellingly, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, was present, the vice president, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, was present, members of parliament, among others, featuring prominently, yet that inability still remaining in terms of what the modalities should be. What for you is your appreciation of where the New Patriotic Party finds itself as far as this situation is concerned currently?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Let me say good morning to your listeners. Actually, the party, the NPP, finds itself in a quandary currently. They have a challenge because of the economic performance, currently, and others' economic performance, and others' legacy that he will be bequeathing to Ghanaians. And the party's overall interest, the desire to remain in power, and then the immediate issue, competing interest in the party, who is going to lead the party going forward. So these two issues are, if you like, are in contention. And within the party, they've come into some sort of conflict. The interest around them so high, to the best of my understanding, that is why they couldn't take a decision. Everybody is pulling, their weight. And so far, it is like they are not very clear as to whether, one, the party in government will be able to, pull something out economically before 2024. The fear that an earlier decision, to go forward and produce a flag bearer will take the shine, will take the focus, off the presidency is an interesting thing because it's necessarily unfounded. If the presidency were, busy with a very significant agenda that is being implemented, which can significantly affect the life of Ghanaians, our politics will focus on that. Our politics will focus on that because at the end of the day, politics works so closely with economics. After elections, you got management, you got governance, and this is all about, bread and butter, economic issues. So if they feel that an earlier decision would not be conducive for the presidency, is also to me an indication that the presidency is not very sure that it has any significant program to implement going forward. And so people will therefore follow the political campaign and then the electoral issues with the hope of getting something out. Just a hope. Have we got someone out there who will do better than the current situation? Have we got someone there? If that happens to be the case, then the politics will, be picked, or it will follow the political activities leading to elections, the internal elections of flag bearers, parliamentary positions and eventually, the ultimate national election. But if the government were to be implementing some significant program, something that really Kenyans see affects them so much, then that is it. So generally, interest, is competing one another. Competing interests are to the best of my understanding, manifested in the party, and to me, they have produced the outcome that we have. The party's inability, to take a critical decision as to electing their flag bearers now or, delaying it.
Would you say those competing interests are working against the party in terms of its ambitions to break the 8? Because mind you, there will always be competing interests at this point in time. There was a point when, with Aliu Mahama as vice president, there were about 14 to 17 contenders. Those are there. But in this instance, we see these competing interests almost getting divisive. What do you make of that?
You see, any casual observer of current political development in the country will not hesitate to come to a conclusion that the NPP is waiting to go home. The terrible mess, the economic mess, the huge amount of money that has come in against virtually nothing on the ground to justify, the amount of money that came in. And then the parties, at the same time, the parties' interest to hold on to political power, they call it breaking the 8. The aspirants also are some sort of not really feeling so easy, simply because they know of the challenge ahead of them. And they wish they could go out there and, if you like, hit the ground running. So in a way, yes, it's hurting the party. Either way, the inability to take a decisive action, come to a position where they say, okay, this is the way forward. Because the delay really, simply keeps that decision at bay, and possibly the government thinking that maybe they might get some respite if they delay. They won't. They won't, because if what they do in government now, governance, is not seen as inuring to economic interests of Kenyans, then it will be adding to their woes. So I think they should take a decision. They should allow the flag bearership decision to be taken, so that the government will have to do what it has to do to keep politics following it.
Do hold for us, Doc. Let me also quickly bring in Nana Boakye, national organizer of the MPP. Nana, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on the AM show.
Morning, good morning, my brother. How are you?
I've been well. I hope you are too.
Oh, by God's grace. I'm good.
Mm.
Is it Dr. Matthew watching up on the line?
Yes, he's still on the line.
He's my lecturer. So, sir, I greet you.
I'm sure he sends his salutations as well. But just quickly tell us, give us some insight into what transpired yesterday. We do know that no agreement was arrived at in terms of where the party is headed as far as the flag bearership race and the timing is concerned. But what really is going on?
Naturally, I know that people are in an expectant mood. Yes, rightly so. But let me first of all lay this foundation. The action or the decision by the National Council, it is not in any way an affront to our Constitution. We are way within the time. It is only proper that we find an appropriate date which can accommodate all our programs. We need to bear in mind that we are not an opposition party. We are a party in government, and it is the party that gave birth to the government. So we need to do broad consultation in our dealings. Yes, we started a restructuring and reorganization right from the polling station, electoral area, the constituencies. We went to the external branch, and then we came right to the regions and the national. So we need the parliamentary primaries and the presidential primaries to make the reorganization and then restructuring complete. We started a discussion of fixing the date, finding an appropriate period where it can accommodate all our activities. And we need to bear in mind, constitutionally, you need even 6 months. You need to, when you open a nomination for presidential primaries today, it means you need at least 6 months to fix the day of the elections. So there are so many things that we need to consider. There are so many consultations. We started from last year, December, and then we were supposed to meet January, and then we fixed yesterday for this meeting. We started from the National Steering Committee, National Executive Committee, and then National Council. We have had extensive and deep discussion on this matter, and these are sensitive. You cannot just rush and take anything. I've heard people say that, you know what, the opposition party, the NDC, just fixed their date for 13th May or so. So what are we waiting for? No, they are not supposed to be our standard. No, not at all. Because why? We are in power. And the kind of decisions they make, it should not influence our dealings. Recently, they did a reshuffle in Parliament. So is that supposed to mean that we also should do a reshuffle? I don't think so. And that brought them a lot of mayhem and caused them a lot of turbulence in Parliament. So that doesn't mean that we need to follow what they do. We are an independent party. We know what we are seeking for. So at the National Council meeting, in the wisdom of National Council members, who is the second highest decision-making body of the party, we are of the view that we need to do broader and detailed, deep consultation in the shortest possible time so that we will come up with all of these settles. When we talk of parliamentary primaries, we are talking of even the orphan constituencies and constituencies we have sitting MPs. Usually, we would even conduct primaries for the orphan constituencies before the certain constituencies will come. So all of these are considerations on the table. Some have even argued that, look, let's have all the elections on one day. Some have said that let's have orphan constituencies before the sitting MPs. Some say let's have all the elections, both the parliamentary and the presidential, on one day. There have been a lot of petitions received from major stakeholders. We are considering all. Even as at yesterday, we had received almost about 3 or 4 petitions from important stakeholders of the party. We have even been invited by the National Council of Elders. They have a major input in these matters. So, fortunately for us, we have been in power before, and there have been people who have been architects in the former administration during the MPP government before. So we need to do, most especially His Excellency, the former president, and then other people. So the decision from council is that we should not rush at all. We are not in competition with anybody to set a date. We, as an independent party, the biggest political party in Ghana, should have a date that will accommodate all our programs so that we will be targeting the 2024. So we are not in a rush, although there is an expectant mood out there for us to have our date fixed so that we can get it running. But the decision of council is that let's do broader consultation of this so that we can have it right and then move on.
So you're basically saying that this is going to take a lot more time with the different schools of thought that have emerged about, you know, what should be done moving forward. But I'd just like to find out from you.
This issue was raised with regards to time and the space we need to operate within. And the critical point was made that we need to do it within the shortest possible time. Although we are also careful not to put any particular time frame on this particular matter. But an important caution was given that we need to, already we had a committee. The committee brought forth its recommendation. And then out of this recommendation, we said, let's do broad consultation. So for me, I think that more than 50% of the work consultation is already complete. It's just that we need to have it and then do it well. So within the shortest possible time, we'll reconvene and we would make a decision going forward.
I have a number of questions for you, but I'd just like to start from this end. So you're basically unfazed as a party. You're in power, yes, but the NDC has...
what?
You are in power as a party, but the NDC, the opposition, seems to have some sort of a plan in terms of having its flag bearership race, like you rightly mentioned, sometime around May and all of that. As of now, you don't have anything, but you still say the party is unfazed by it. How are your members reacting to that?
No. You see, when you are in opposition, I think that the NDC's constitution is similarly constructed, just like ours. For instance, when you are in power, you cannot do your presidential primaries later than 12 months to the election. So the constitution says you have to do it not later than 12 months to the elections. So we can even do it today. It will still be within the time. But it shouldn't go beyond that. So we have a time frame. But when you are not in power, that is when you make sure that you do it 18 months before the election. So you can have it within that time. And I think the NDC is even not later than 24 months or so. Because when you are in power, the dynamics are different. When you have a certain president and then you are in power, the dynamics are different. So both constitutions are similarly constructed in this line. So it is not as though what you are saying, I'm not going to agree to that we don't have a plan. No. That is why I'm saying that more than 50% of the work is already done. The restructuring process, we are more than 70% already done. We have these two main elections ahead. We cannot just rush and make any decision. The fact that the media expect us to announce it so that it will be newsworthy for us to discuss does not mean that we need to rush and then make any decision at all. I know you are expecting us. Yesterday I saw your colleagues, so many people with cameras and recorders and all of them. Yes, I know you want good news. I mean, you were expecting. So the fact that the media and everybody is expecting us to make a pronouncement on the date so that it will be newsworthy does not mean that we need to rush and make any decision at all. I think we need to carefully consider all the scenarios. We have a lot of scenarios. If you do it this time, what to be the consequences? If you do it this time, what to be the positives out of it? If it goes to this time, how about it? In all of this, we are boxing it within the constitutional framework. There's no way the decision that come out from council will be an affront to the constitution, not at all. We are mindful of what the constitution says, and we are within the time frame. We only have to do deep and detailed consultation so that we have it right, and that is it. So that is our strategy, and that is our decision.
All right, so two quick questions to wrap the conversation, and we are grateful you've stayed with us. Just two quick questions to wrap. First off, we do know that some former ministers have resigned. Alan Kyerematen, first of all, Dr. Akakpo also following suit. And they have hit the ground campaigning because they are no longer in office. There are others who are said to want to campaign who are still in government who will not have those opportunities. What does that do for the party, especially as there's still some uncertainty about when your national election will take place for a flag bearer? And secondly, the president, the vice president, members of parliament were at this gathering, and you still couldn't arrive at any decision in terms of when it will be held. One school of thought is that don't do it now because it will steal the shine of the president or the leader of the country and take away from what we are doing. Another school of thought is that if we do it too late, we wouldn't be able to campaign properly. How do you respond to these two thoughts out there?
I don't think that His Excellency the President will have any view or any mindset that if we elect the flag bearer, it will take office. No, he's been the leader of the New Patriotic Party for close to about 16 years, right from the year 2008. He was unsuccessful. The year 2012, the party again supported him massively. He won the flag bearership race. He became our presidential candidate. We didn't win. The party again gave him that confidence to lead us again in the year 2016, and he gave us the biggest political and electoral victory ever in Ghana. And we have given him enormous support. Constitutionally, he is even aware that he's unable to contest again. And when he was going for his second term, the party again, rank and file, we gave him that massive support. Don't forget that in the NDC, there have been times where certain presidents have been contested before. Former President Atamils and then even President Mahama. There have been times where there have been agitations in their party, but for His Excellency the President, when he was going for his second term, it was a massive, unanimous support, overwhelming support from the rank and file of the party. So for the support, the shine, and undoubtedly, His Excellency the President is the most marketed political figure in Ghana as we speak. So I'm not sure that His Excellency the President or any person at all would have any grounds to make these allusions that because when we elect the presidential candidate, it will take the shine. No, I don't think so. He's enjoyed massive support for more than a decade. So that idea should...
But automatically, the arrowhead for the party, everyone would, like you said, we all know he's not going to contest, so automatically there will be a shift in terms of who is heading the party, who is leading the party into the next election. Is that not correct?
No, that is why I'm saying that he's not going to have any issue with it at all, because already he has indicated to the party that he even intends his plan, his dream, the last legacy he wants to leave for the party is for him to hand over to an MPP government. He's made this known. In fact, the very time he received his re-nomination bid, or he was successful in his re-nomination bid to become president again, he came to the party office, and that was the pronouncement he made, that his greatest ambition now is to make sure that he hands over to an MPP president. So that is never in his mind at all. And I can tell you, he's a true party man, and he has supported us all this time. I don't think that is an issue at all. Rather, there are other important considerations we need to. Yes, I can understand that politically, and then looking at the times we find ourselves, I mean, with the resignation of two important key persons from cabinet, the Agric Minister and then the Trade Minister, yes, it again threw the party's mood into, the presidential primaries. I can understand. And I've seen a lot of prospective aspirants who are, I would say, not campaigning, because I've listened to their words. They are choosing their words very carefully, I must admit. They are saying that when the time comes and the new patriotic party sets the platform for opening of nomination for the presidential prime, they intend to contest.
Right.
So I would say that is a declaration of intent. And I think that largely and naturally, the party should accommodate this view. Again, let me also put on record that at the National Council meeting, it was also agreed that a team should put together the rules and regulations governing the parliamentary primaries and the presidential primaries. And that is also going to be considered in our next meeting as well.
Nana, we're grateful for your time and we wish you the best in all your endeavors. Nana Boakye is national organizer.
I'm also...
Nana, you were making a point. Nana Boakye is national organizer of the NPP. He graciously joined us for a conversation. Well, moving from there, we're going to go to Goso, where my colleague Maxwell Agbagba is in an interaction with Yao Boaben Asamoah, who is the spokesperson of the campaign for Alan Kyerematen. We cross over now.
East region and then the Bunu region, and now in the Ahafo region, we specifically here at Goso. The Alan Kyerematen campaign is here at Goso. We're privileged to have with us here spokesperson for the Alan Kyerematen campaign, Yao Boaben Asamoah. Like you rightly mentioned, Benjamin, we know that meeting ended inconclusively yesterday. We want to find out what the Alan Kyerematen campaign makes of this decision for broader consultation on the matter. So, Bobby Asamoah, you're welcome to JoyNews.
Thank you very much.
I want us to start off. First of all, how did you take the news about this meeting ending inconclusively yesterday to make way for broader consultation on the matter?
I think it's unfortunate. I think they should have come to a conclusion. And what has happened doesn't demonstrate a preparedness on the part of the party to be decisive, to put its foot down. and to get things going. I think it's very unfortunate. Now, what I expect is that they will decouple campaign activities from the date setting for the elections proper. In other words, we are all assuming that we can start campaigning only when nominations are opened and we file documents, which is the norm. But until those dates come out, the expectation is that we can't campaign formally. I think it's time. If the party can't sort itself out, candidates or aspirants must be able to sort themselves out, because it's a process. It takes time. People need to campaign. So we believe that from now on in, we are serving notice that the party must decouple the campaign timing, enable campaigning to start immediately, whilst they wrangle over when to have the election, which they must have this year. They must have that election. So I'm surprised they can't agree on a date to have an election that by law you must have. What is the holdup? But in any event, that decision should be decoupled from allowing aspirants to campaign. So formally, I believe that the Kyerematen campaign will begin and continue and campaign throughout the country whilst waiting for the decision from the party. It is untenable to assume that aspirants must wait for processes that cannot even be determined when they ought to have been so simple. It's untenable. So they are in charge of the election. They can go ahead. But aspirants must touch base with potential delegates, and aspirants will touch base, and aspirants are already touching base. Several aspirants are out there touching base, and we are all pretending nothing is happening. And so we are going to make sure we do what we have to do to meet the delegates, to prepare for the election, because we need to prepare. So campaigning by aspirants, as far as the Kyerematen campaign is concerned, campaigning ought to start whilst they wrangle over the date.
Now, we understand there are two divides when it comes to the decision on when to hold this presidential and parliamentary primaries. One school of thought believes that it should be done later. Another school of thought believes that an early, primaries would help those elected to do enough campaign ahead of the main general election. Which school of thought is the Alan Kyerematen camp part of?
Ideally, the people to take the decisions are in that meeting. Ideally, if they assume that they want broader consultation, then they haven't consulted our campaign. So if they believe it is about broader consultation, then I think perhaps it's time they called in the known aspirants. Everybody by now knows who is planning to be part of this process. Perhaps it's time they called in the known aspirants, consulted them formally or informally on setting the date. Because, like I said, it is an election we must have. If we are going to have that election, then the sooner the better. In any event, it's not about early or late Congress, because we've run out of time. For me, those distinctions don't matter anymore. Let's have the presidential election in August. Let's have the presidential election in August, and let's move on. Why not?
Okay, earlier we had rumors that it was going to be in November. That's what we heard, but later that was dismissed by the party executive, and you even won August.
What I'm saying is that I don't even want to start that debate on air. My position is that it is going to be done. So let us get it done. Now, there are two possibilities. Possibility one is that you insist that you are in charge of the process of aspirants campaigning, as well as the process for setting up the album, the rules, the regulations, and then election day. If that is your concern, then at this time, that aspirants don't know when they can start campaigning formally, it's irresponsible. It's totally irresponsible, because you're not being fair to aspirants. That's the first leg of the argument. The second leg of the argument is that decouple the two situations. deal with your dating, broad consultation, based on you seeking a firm date for the election with consensus on all sides. In that case, agree, immediately allow aspirants to go about their work and touch base and do that. Free the party to consult itself on who is going to lead them. Now, there are two consultations at stake. There's the party struggling to set a date for an election they must have anyway. Then there's the aspirants trying to persuade the party to vote for them to lead them, which is necessary by law. So why are you restraining us now because you can't set a date for yourselves? So what I'm saying is that the sooner the date, the better. I'm not an early Congress, late Congress person. I just believe that we've run out of time. Either way, we've run out of time because the processes for getting the party to appreciate who will lead them are not simple. And then once we determine who leads the party, then that person must be taken to the country. Even have a process of internal realignment or getting together behind the candidate. So there are processes. We've run out of time for those processes. This party doesn't have the luxury of waiting any longer. That's the point I'm trying to make. This party doesn't have the luxury of waiting any longer. Aspirants don't have the luxury of waiting whilst the party is twiddling its thumbs. The party must be decisive, but aspirants will go out there and campaign. The Kyerematen campaign will campaign.
That doesn't flout any party regulation.
What is there to flout if they themselves are flouting their moral duty? What is their responsibility to aspirants? Doesn't the party have any responsibility to aspirants? Tell me, doesn't the government and the party who are sitting in steering committee and NEC have any responsibility to aspirants? Don't they realize that aspirants need to be facilitated in order to have a smooth takeover? The government is on its way out. Whatever happens, the government is on its way out. It could be the best government, it's on its way out. So the party is responsible for getting somebody else to lead now. Not later, not tomorrow, not consultations, nothing. The process for determining who leads us is well defined. You go out there, you campaign to delegates. So what are we waiting for? That the party can't decide when to have an election, so we can't campaign. So what are we flouting? There are no regulations at the moment. All that is in position is a code of conduct. Do not campaign. But it is based on a presumption that campaigning is aligned to dating. That is the presumption. Campaigning is aligned to dating. But where we are now, given the time constraint, it would be totally irresponsible to insist on that position, that until nominations are opened, one can't campaign. What are we waiting for? So now how is the party going to enforce the anti-campaigning rule? Are they going to put all these aspirants away? What kind of impression are they going to create in public? How are they going to manage the campaigns of the aspirants? How are they going to restrain the aspirants? Evict them from the party? Sanction them for campaigning when they have to campaign? Are they not campaigning? Everybody is campaigning. Everybody is campaigning. Everybody as I speak is campaigning. So the Kyerematen campaign is serving formal notice. We are going to campaign. We are advising the party to decouple the dates for campaigning, initiating campaigning, from the problems they are having fixing a date. We must decouple the two entirely.
The proponents for Congress later, for the elections to take place later in the year, or maybe later, is that once a new flag bearer is elected, power shifts from the current leader, the president, to the new flag bearer. Attention and everything shifts to the new leader, which really it's not good for the party and for the government.
What is wrong with incumbent government in power, with power, in a position to execute and wield that power, working closely with whoever is elected to follow up? For me, even the longer they work together, the better. So assuming you have the person elected and you are prepared to work with that person, you co-join and you go ahead. The person is going to campaign on the government's record anyway, isn't it? So you integrate that person into your activities, into your processes. That's where you get a good handing over. Then you have a seamless process. What is the risk? What is the fear? That in one party, in one government, somebody is going to take power away from somebody? Who has executive authority and power? Who is being sworn in as the president? The government will go on. The government will go on. But the party must go through the process of selecting another leader. One can't say that the government will feel threatened about its power. Power to do what? To control the party? What power are we talking about now? There are different kinds of power.
A de facto leader of a sort.
Yeah, but we must have a leader. A de facto leader. If we take the person in January, the president will, if that is the assumption, the president will still be powerless for 11 months. Whatever time we do it, the president will be powerless. In fact, now the president is powerless.
How so?
Because the law is clear. Powerless in terms of the party, not powerless in terms of the country. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said there are different types of power. The president has executive power. Nobody can take executive power away from him. But of course, there's informal transfer of authority, reverence, respect when it gets to whoever comes in. But that also can be moderated and managed based on the relationship the president chooses to have with that person. And I'm saying that the best thing is that ideally we have that person and the president draws that person very close, and then you have a seamless transition. That's what I'm saying. That's what I believe should be the case. Particularly where we are now, where messaging is going to be very difficult. We need a situation where you have somebody the president is prepared to work with, and together we can determine the way forward.
If you say messaging is going to be difficult, how difficult? Are you making reference to the current economic situation that we find ourselves, and you know what the message of the NPP is going to be to the people?
Now we need to fine-tune the transition from where we are to continuity. That's a big messaging act. We have a base. We have put in many important programs, but to effectively milk those programs, you need continuity. Our problem as a country, partly, is the chop, stop, start. Every 8 years, every government decides to criminalize everything they met and do a new thing. Now, from some of the things we are doing, we are now really set on a path of diversification, economic diversification. If you look at the industrialization process, where we are inviting more investment into local value addition. If you look at the education sector, where we are pivoting to more science, more engineering, more. If you look at health, where we are trying to build up, a bank of capacity to be able to offer the kind of service that our people deserve. All this will be threatened. All this will be threatened by a change of government. And the people of Ghana don't deserve that, because the value inherent in the things we are doing are too much. So now we need to tease out a message that says that the economic situation is a blip, a very hard, difficult blip, but we are still the best to take forward because there's value in what we've done, and that value can only be preserved and sustained and even made more competitive if we remain. And that messaging we have to begin now. We have to begin teasing out now, and it's a responsibility of the government in charge and the incoming in transition. And so it is even more critical that we work together at this stage. Extremely critical that we work together at this stage.
The NPP wants to break the 8. Is Alan Kyerematen the only one who can help the party break the 8?
Ideally, Alan Kyerematen would be an easier preference for the country, breaking the 8. Alan Kyerematen would be an easier candidate. First of all, in terms of the party itself, being comfortable with him as the man to do that, given the traditions of the party, the notions of loyalty, long service, support to the party, one who can put the party in fighting shape. Alan Kyerematen understands the party, has done this thing several times, come second to Nana, run around the country. People know him within the country, people know him within the party. He is better positioned to put the party in fighting shape. And he served his dues to the party. He's looked after this party. I mean, when he talks about YEF and the personalities he's groomed, helped to go through YEF, who now run this government, literally. Very, very big names. And you hear the names sometimes. So I believe that in terms of the party, then you move forward to the situation we have now, in terms of his vision. He has the grand transformational agenda, which is well thought through, which has elements that can reposition us and engage and get us going so that we can grow. So he also has that plan, the vision, which he's already been executing as trade and industry minister, because his products are littered all over. Those are the things that are holding us up as a government at this stage. And then his personality, very strong character, has the patience politically to wait, the courage to put his foot down, and the resources of integrity, to engage broadly. He's a man of integrity. People accept and believe in him. And at this stage, we need that more than ever. He can appeal across a broad section of the people. So if you put Kyerematen there of his grand vision, his character, against any of the others, then he looks more likely as a prospect to beat the opposition. The opposition doesn't have a plan as we speak. But only Alan Kyerematen, of all the lot within the MPP and the opposition, who has a plan now to go over the bump that we have, and has the strength of character, the courage, the integrity to execute that plan and bring Ghanaians along with him.
You admit that there's a bump. You admit that there are challenges. You admit that things are not as smooth as many Ghanaians expected. What do you make of assertions or arguments that Alan Kyerematen was also part of the government, playing a critical role in the trade and industry, minister?
Alan Kyerematen has never denied that. And the work he has done in trade and industry has actually positioned us. Because of AFTFCA, we are now called the commercial capital of Africa. Accra is now called the commercial capital of Africa. Don't you know? Alan Kyerematen's work has positioned Ghana effectively to participate in the biggest market in sub-Saharan Africa, 1.3 billion people. Alan Kyerematen's work since Kufuor's time has diversified this economy. Now we need investment in those sectors, in salt production, in ramping up garments, in oil palm, in cassava for ethanol production, starch production. We need production. From that's what we said, from taxation to production. We need production, and this government has positioned itself. Roads. This government has positioned itself for that. But unfortunately, we've run into headwinds. And let's be fair. I mean, Ghana is not the only one with headwinds, but there are degrees. There are degrees. Some countries, and even on bond defaults, government bonds were supposed to be bulletproof, literally. But other countries are declaring defaults as well. Other countries around the world are struggling with defaults because we live in unusual times. These are not normal times. But we can't make excuses. We have to deal with the situation. And I am saying that the NDC hasn't delivered anything that makes the people of Ghana comfortable that they can do anything about it. In any event, John Mahama is coming to do for President of Ghana. He spends the first year trying to cancel everything the NPP have done. Second year trying to find resources. Third year he starts preparing to exit. Fourth year he's out. What will he do after dismantling this bedrock that we've established? So the people of Ghana will be the ones who lose if NPP disappoints them. It is for us, the NPP, to restructure, reshape and remessage in order to engage the people of Ghana on the real scenarios. And the real scenarios are that we have laid a foundation that can be built on to deliver the jobs that our people seek. We have laid the foundation to deliver the transition to industrialization that the people want. We have laid the foundation to enable us diversify from the cocoa and gold economy, which is desperately needed to make us more competitive, to improve our incomes, and to stop going to the IMF. We can't live on this borrow and spend economy for so long. Your mama is also coming to borrow and spend. Where is he going to borrow the money from? And what is he going to spend it on? So we have a solid foundation. We can explain the current situation to the people of Ghana in terms of the benefit they will achieve from this foundation that Alan Kyerematen helped to lay. Alan Kyerematen is a core member of this government, and we did a lot of work before we were hit by the twin evils that have brought us to this point.
You've been touting his achievements and successes on this tour, talking about the presidential special initiative. We were talking about how now we have 6 automobile giants have set up assembling plants, here in Ghana. We've been talking about AFTA and all of that. I think Ghanaians want to know what role specifically he played to cushion us from what we're experiencing now. Everybody's talking about the depreciation of the cedi. We're talking about galloping inflation. As the trade and industry minister, what did he do to cushion us as a trade and industry minister?
As Alan Kyerematen control exchange rates. Please don't laugh.
Alan Kyerematen's job is to help transition us to competitiveness, to exploit what we have the better. And he has done exactly that. 4 years ago, who would have thought we would assemble automobiles in Ghana? Do you know the impact of that industry on Ghana's profile? If they are exporting those trucks within a period of 5 years to 10 years, if we are #1 exporter of assembled trucks from 5 marquees within Africa alone, do you know the kind of profile that gives us and our economy? And he has established it. There's no doubt about it. We are talking about 300 factories in 1D1F, which he started work on during the Kufuor era as trade and industry minister, when they were running these profiles through the Rural Enterprises project. You understand? Imagine what will happen in another 5 years if we are consistent with 1D1F and we hit 1,000 factories. Imagine if we hit 1,000 factories. The amount, take pharmaceuticals. Now, we are, import levels to export ratio for pharmaceuticals. We are importing 70% and producing 30%. If we go on the trajectory that Mr. Kyerematen has set in place, within another 3, 4, 5 years, we will have 80% internal manufacturing and 30% imports. That dramatic turnaround has impact on our finances, it has impact on jobs, it has impact on incomes, it has impact on savings, it has impact on consumption or other sectors of the economy. The aluminium sector that we are zeroing in on, the impact it will make, the difference it will make, oil and gas, the difference we can make with petroleum if we process a lot more of it here. So I'm saying that the government, including Alan Kyerematen, have set us on a good path. But Mr. Kyerematen doesn't run this government. It is now that he wants to run the government, and he should be given the opportunity fairly to run the government. If he runs the government and he is taking the fundamental decisions, then you can ask me what he did, because he will then be determining who decides what happens to our exchange rates. He will be determining what we do with the loans that we borrow. He will be determining the priorities that he will invest public money in. He has, for example, said in his great transformational plan that he is going to change the method for financing public infrastructure. He's going to change that. So you can't complain about your roads to Kyerematen now because he wants to be president, that he was part of a government that didn't fix your road. Yes, he's part of the government. They've done so many other things. Nobody has gotten it all, but the foundation is solid. The foundation is strong. It needs another MPP leader of strength, of integrity, of vision, of competence to take us beyond the next step.
Now, his biggest opponent, you're saying that he wasn't directly, involved in all that I mentioned. But his biggest opponent, chairman of the Economic Management Team, what will be your assessment of him? He's done a good job?
I have no idea. Ask him. I have no idea.
You have no idea whether he's done a good job or bad?
I'm campaigning. I have no idea. Let him come and tell us.
You don't know if Dr. Bawku has done a good job?
I am not in a position to campaign for him.
No, we're just doing an assessment of him.
How can I do an assessment of him? He is campaigning. He's out there campaigning. Don't you know? He is campaigning, and I am campaigning. So we are campaigning. Yes.
Interesting. Before we wrap up with this conversation, though, I know the National Executive Committee members are watching, top officials of the NPP are watching. What will be your message to them on the date for the presidential and parliamentary primary?
For me, I think they should be aware that the world is watching. I recall the first time we went to Legon, not first time, I mean the Legon Congress, if you recall, where after 2.5 days we're deadlocked. And there were issues with the Congress. There was rumors we shouldn't continue and all that. And then then President Kufuor stepped in and said, "We are the ruling party." It was being televised. That was the unusual thing. It was being televised. It was being covered heavily by the media. So how can the government, the ruling party, and the government go into conclave and are unable to elect a leader? How will the world view us? It will have impact on our markets. It will have impact on confidence. It will damage the government. So we must necessarily finish this. There was consensus. We went again, and then it was deadlocked. Danado couldn't make the required percentage. And there was supposed to be a second round. Again, Bruhaha. It was Alan who unified the party, who gave the party a fighting chance by saying that, no, I concede to Nanado. Let Nanado have the lead over me, because in future I have an opportunity to be this. So the leadership of this political party in the current circumstances know that the whole world is watching. They need to appreciate that the world wants decisions to be taken. So let's leave the dating to them, but let them take a decision that they are going to allow us to campaign, and that we have already started campaigning, and that they must accept constructively and approve of campaign activities constructively, and keep quiet, because nobody is going to respond to sanctions for campaigning against time when there is no time frame.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Interesting conversation. So like I mentioned earlier, we're now in the Ahafo region, specifically Goso, the capital of the Ahafo region, and Alan Kyerematen is going to begin his tour of this region today. We're just waiting for some minutes for that to begin. But you heard his spokesperson, the spokesperson for the Alan Kyerematen campaign, Yao Boaben Asamoah, talking about the meeting that ended inconclusively yesterday, the meeting to decide the date for the presidential and parliamentary primaries for the NPP. My name is Maxwell Agbagba, came to you live from Go. So we're going on a short break on the AM show. When we come back, Benjamin Akakpo takes over.
RESEC meetings are meetings that we meet regularly to review the security situation in the region and to take decisions as to how we can keep the region safe. So it's one of those meetings. But Bawku issue came in because, you know, our hotspot now is the jihadis in the region, the jihadis across the border, and also the Bawku problems. So those are the things that we discuss. Of course, there are security matters, and I can't tell you what we discussed. It's very sad that people have lost their lives. It's something that RESEC, we want to know what really happened. We are going to. I also want to say that this troubles in Bawku is taking too long. We have been doing our best to make sure that there is peace in Bawku. The Interior Minister, the Minister for Defense, CDS, and all the big people, IGP, we're all here for us to see if we can prepare peace. And I think it lasted for a bit, and then it started all over again. if you sit down and you think about it, you really don't know the reason why it is getting this way. And I think that probably there are also criminality in it. There's politics in it, criminality in it. People have their own reasons why they probably don't want this to end. So I want to appeal through this medium that, look, let's give peace a chance, because Bawku is virtually dying.
And so that is the latest. We get into what to find out what exactly is happening and how we can smoothing the creases, how we can get past this turmoil in that part of the country. But guess who joins me, as always? Bernice Abubedo Lanza. Good morning. Good morning, Benjamin. Let's do the Friday.
You want to go the Nigerian way? You know how to do it?
I don't know fully.
2, 3.
Okay. Yeah, the one. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Friday is here and we're talking a very serious issue, though we're starting on a jovial note.
Yes, a very serious one, an unfortunate incident. A couple months ago, just before the year ended, we spoke about the situation in Bawku because there was some series of killings over there, and we engaged Albert Sorry, and we engaged the MC as well, who rather shared some gory details about the situation, how he had witnessed his own neighbor being killed. And so we were having conversations about how to find a lasting peace in the area, only this week to be hit by the killing of about some 6 people. Clearly, the people are agitated, they are upset. But what really happened? We've heard from the Ghana Armed Forces refuting allegations of seizing some communities and killing some people. But earlier, they released a statement about the use of military uniforms and other paraphernalia, that suggests that certain people belong to the military, because they realized that there were people, especially in Bawku, they cited that incident in that letter where they had been seen to be using military apparatus and all those things. And it is what led to some allegations that the military was actually involved in some of these things. But this morning, we will be speaking to Albert Sorry, because he's been monitoring the situation there for us, to tell us what exactly is happening. We've heard from the minister, who has suggested some possible infiltration of jihadists in neighboring countries. Albert, what's the mood like in Bawku this morning? And beyond what we heard the minister say, what more is being done on the ground to ensure that there are no reprisals?
Yes, Benny. So when this first happened 2 days ago, the youth of the area where it happened were very agitated. They were very angry about what had happened because as far as they were concerned, the people who perpetrated these killings were military people. And we've heard in the past when similar stories were reported that people were killed by men in uniform who the citizens suspected to be military people. So they were angry because they felt that the government was not taking these reports that they had been making very seriously. And so this time round, when the Regional Security Council intervened, that helped to calm them down on the Thursday when it happened. In the afternoon of 2 days ago, when the incident took place, the traditional authority met with a security hierarchy, and then the families of the people who lost their lives. They had a meeting at which they agreed that the bodies of the deceased should be released for burial according to Islamic principles. That helped calm down the nerves a little bit. And yesterday, the Regional Security Council met. The regional minister subsequently spoke to the media and told us what the plans were. So since then, things have been calm. We haven't heard of any incident, since the Regional Security Council spoke and also issued a statement on what has happened.
But what's the general mood in the area? We heard from some of the residents that they appear peeved, they appear upset. The Regional Security Council is asking for calm, especially between the factions, in order to ensure lasting peace and develop a certain roadmap. Earlier, when I spoke to you last year, we heard at the time from Adam Bona, who's a security analyst, that some engagement had happened prior to those incidents, and the expectation was that the factions were going to cease fire until a certain roadmap was drawn and a lasting peace achieved eventually. So what is the latest on that roadmap, even in the midst of all of this?
So over time, the Regional Security Council always tries to be the mediator and talking to the factions. Now, this latest incident didn't even involve the two factions in the chieftaincy dispute that is in Bawku. The killings that took place, the fingers were being pointed at the military. It is the reason that the Ghana Armed Forces has released that statement. Now, what the regional minister is telling us is that since the last time during the Christmas period when we heard about sporadic shootings, things had returned to normal until this latest incident. Now, the people were accusing the military. The military has also come out with their statement on what actually happened. So what the regional minister says is that they are going to go on the ground and investigate the actual thing that happened, because now there are two sides to the story, and as a Regional Security Council, they can only investigate and get to the bottom of the matter. So as far as the two factions are concerned, since around the Christmas when reprisals returned, we haven't heard anything until this latest one. But like I said, this one in particular the killings were not perpetrated because of exchange between the two factions, but people that the citizens believed were military, and the military has come out to explain.
Interesting, but do we still have military presence on the ground, and what is the reception of community members to them?
Yes, so when this happened 2 days ago, the fears were that considering how angry the residents were, they may try to take the law in their own hands and engage in some sort of quarrel, or if you like, try to confront the military. Yesterday, when the Regional Security Council released the statement, one of the cautions they gave in that statement was to the people at Zogin where this latest incident happened. And the caution was that the Regional Security Council was advising that they should not try to engage the military or involve in some sort of confrontation with the military, because that would result in catastrophe. So we haven't heard of any incidents. The military and other security agencies are still on the ground, and there hasn't been any incident since this recent one 2 days ago. Now, what the Regional Security Council says is that they are going to meet the bereaved families. In fact, the statement actually sent out condolences from the RECSEC to these people, and they say they are going to meet them, try and hear, more of what happened in this latest incident to help in investigations. But the regional minister is assuring that the security are not there just to attack innocent civilians. But when it happens like this, there are a lot of stories that are coming, and so they will need to investigate to know what actually happened. And they are giving the people the assurance that the Regional Security Council is doing exactly that.
Albert, I'll come back to take your wrapping comments, but let me welcome Mutaru Mumuni Mukhtar, Executive Director of the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism, to this conversation. Good morning to you, sir. Now, there's a major concern about the infiltration of jihadists into the country through that route. We know in Burkina Faso, for example, there have been some terrorist activities that has caused a spillover into Ghana, where women and children especially are seeking refuge. How do we ensure that these persons entering the country really need our help, and possible criminal or terrorist elements do not take advantage of what's happening in their country to enter ours to perpetrate mayhem?
Well, first of all, I mean, the first part of your question is great in the sense that we need to view it from the perspective of individuals or people who are fleeing danger and seeking our help. There's a tendency that people securitize, refugees. And when you do that, it has serious security consequences for us. And so we have to look at it from the perspective of people who are seeking refuge and fleeing violence, and allow security agencies to do their part, which is the profiling and ensuring that only desiring individuals are allowed into the space. But once we get past that stage, we need to provide all the necessary support that they need to be able to live here and live peacefully. Otherwise, we might create situations of marginalization and undermining them, which could, backfire in terms of security for us. Of course, we have always known, the high exploitative capacity of extremist groups who take advantage of existing vulnerabilities, such as what we see in Bawku and other areas that are closer to the border regions in terms of violence and conflict. They take advantage of this to recruit individuals or to engage in attacks. And that is why Bawku is of high interest to people who are watching or working in the area of security. And so we need to escalate our commitment to dealing with Bawku and the security issues around that area.
Aren't we giving little attention to what's happening in Bawku? And I ask this because there are many who have said, look, we can't solve the problem if we give it a more nationalistic perspective. It's as if the news dies down, and then when something happens, all the lenses and all the attention is back on Bawku. But look at what happened in Durban, for example, where the president himself took the issue, and it appeared that right from the presidency to the very last person, all efforts were being made to ensure that there will be peace in Durban. It appears we don't have enough time with what's happening in Bawku, and if we aren't careful, this may get out of hand. What should we be doing now? A roadmap is being developed, we are told, but what should we be doing in the practical sense of getting peace in Bawku?
I think that, to be fair, there has been quite some efforts in terms of dealing with Bawku. Remember, this is a very protracted conflict. It's been a very, protracted for a very long time, since independence and probably even before. And so it's been quite a long time, and there's been a lot of efforts from the perspective of the state. The National Peace Council is involved in several actions, including other civil society organizations and NGOs working in the area. We have worked there, personally, our organization we have worked there before, and we can see the level of engagement and efforts in this. But what we are seeing is, there are a lot of good things that have been done, but done too small and not sustainable. If you remember, like about 4 months ago, when the Minister for National Security, National Minister of Interior, and other high government delegation went in there with the view or objective of meeting all stakeholders and, finding ways to calm the tension and bring about stability to the area. Immediately after that, we saw some calm, but this calm didn't last. It stayed on for about 6 weeks, and then we went back into violence again. If we were to sustain that kind of engagement, we may have prolonged the state of peace and state of stability in that area. And this is just one example. There are several examples of interventions that are necessary to bring results, but those results were short-term, they were ad hoc because the efforts were not sustained. And so we need to be able to sustain these efforts. Let's look at what do we move on. What is the next step? What are the next steps in terms of dealing with Bawku? First of all, there are some fundamental things that we need to look at. So, for instance, You have the use of the people of Bawku accusing the military or the security services of involvement in this in terms of the violence and the killings. And the military comes out to issue a statement to deny that. Now, we understand in conflict and war situations, one of the major casualties is the truth. You know, depending on who you listen to, the narratives favor them. At the moment, whoever is telling the truth, it doesn't really matter now. What is important is that the reality is that there's been damage to goodwill between the security forces and the local population. And we need to be able to restore that, irrespective of what has happened. We need to engage in actions and activities that are aimed at restoring goodwill and support from the local population, to trust that the security services are there, not as a party to the conflict in any way, but as people who are meant to maintain stability and peace in the area. Secondly, this is a conflict among young people. In recent times, we've seen young people leading the actions in terms of the violence and the killings. But these groups are quite fluid. We do not have, centralized leadership for either party. And so it's very difficult and complex to engage these leaders in a manner that can trickle down in terms of impact of those kinds of engagements. So we now need to bring in the role of legitimate voices much louder and much more pervasive than before. And when I say legitimate voices, I'm talking about, the Nigerians. We need to get Nigerians' voice much louder and more pervasive in this. We need to get, Bawku Nabe's voice much louder and more involved in this. That way, we may be able to bring about some sense of calm and some sense of stability to engage in meaningful peace-building work. Those are very fundamental things we need to be able to do, to be able to pave the way or build an environment that is good enough for peace-building activities. You would see that after this alleged killings of people in Bawku area, we've seen several videos and audios that are coming out of the area. These are young people who are engaged in very provocative and incendiary commentary against each other. And that has been the tactic that's used in provoking the violence in the area. We have seen very little done to clamp down on these kinds of activities, these kinds of engagement. We need to criminalize those encounters to ensure that we bring about stability. We haven't done that, and we haven't done enough of those activities. And so it's very difficult to have any meaningful engagement in Bawku at the moment.
The last time I engaged the chairman of the National Peace Council on this issue, he himself appeared quite frustrated. As a reverend minister, he tells us that even pastors from his church posted to the area want to leave. There are teachers who want to leave. There are nurses who want to leave. And shortly, Albert will be updating us on what is happening with all these social activities. But for you, what should the next major step be?
The next major step, like I mentioned, we have to look at the role of the security forces in the area. Do they have the goodwill and support from the local population?
So what would you prefer they pull out? Because once they are not there, there's also the concern of persons using military uniforms and items to perpetrate crime. And so there already appears to be a certain level of mistrust in the system. So what would you rather, that they pull out?
I will recommend that they pull out, they change them. We need to pull out the existing team because there are too many allegations against them. Whether true or not, it damages the support they need from the local population. We need to do that. The next level is that we need to have a higher level of engagement of the leadership of both societies and campuses to be able to have bring about a platform of engagement in terms of bringing stability to the area. On a very broad term, we need to have a blueprint, a national level blueprint that engages on this conflict. We haven't had enough, national spotlight on the Bawku. The media and all actors, national level actors, engage in Bawku in a very ad hoc way. When the violence happens, it becomes a story to carry. It becomes a topic for discussion at national level. But once it goes away, we stop talking about it. We need to engage in efforts that sees Bawku or views Bawku as a national security situation, national security crisis. so we can have more visibility, support, and resources to deal with Bawku. Other than that, we may be going for another 50-year conflict.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Mutar Mumuni Mukhtar is Executive Director for the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. Albert, let me end the conversation with you. What's happening to school children? What's happening to nurse and pregnant women? How are they coping amidst all of this? What really is happening to social activities in Bawku? Hello, Albert. Hello, Albert. Kindly unmute your device. Did you get my question?
Hello,
yeah.
Sorry, the connection went bad. If you
All right. I was asking for an update on social activities, i.e. children going to school, nursing mothers, pregnant women accessing healthcare, and all the other social activities in Bawku.
Yeah, so normally when it happens like this, you get a very tense atmosphere. This time round, it is not different. People will try to keep on with their normal everyday activity, but they do so in a very tense manner. Some decide not to even go at all. So you have places where, especially in the suburbs where shootings occur, for instance, people will decide for the next 2-3 days to stay away from work for their own safety. Sometimes, people cannot go to work even because of that. This time around, it's not different. Even though they are going about their normal everyday activity, you sense that there's a very tense atmosphere as we speak.
Albert, we'll leave it here. Albert Sorry is our man in the Upper East region. He's given us a sense of what's happening in Bawku and what the people are having to deal with as a result of that. We'll keep our eyeballs there and let you know what happens, especially with the roadmap that is being developed to ensure that there's lasting peace there. Now, the news review, you saw that earlier with Benjamin and Brace, is brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. We are offering free prostate screening and free female fertility screening. You can locate the clinic, Accra, Spintex opposite Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronoma Buenhia behind Angel Educational Complex, Takrade Anaji Estate, and in Tema Community 2, Techiman, Hensia, Isiama in Nzema. You can call 0244867068 or 0274234321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic diseases. And water is life. Awake is premium purified water, treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect sizes for all occasions and purposes: 330 ml and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 for heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. And 19-liter jar bottles are ideal for homes and offices. All you must do now is drink Awake purified drinking water wherever you go. Choose a bottle of Awake purified drinking water today and get quality hydration. Awake purified drinking water, one for life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. Another quality product by Casapreco Company Limited. Please call 026235121 for bulk purchase. This advert is FDA approved. It's now time to get interactive with you. We'll do so right after this. Thank you so much for staying here on the AM show. It's now time to get interactive with you. And Benjamin Akakpo has joined me for that. Hello.
Right here. Let's do this.
Right, so the number to call 0302-211-691, 0302-211-691. Share your thoughts with us. Today we've been talking the NPP flag bearership race. We put up a post on Facebook asking you who you think can break the 8. And Benjamin, this is topical because this is the party in government, and since I can remember, the president has been talking about breaking the 8. Now, the party...
And handing over to
an NPP, party. Exactly. But the party hasn't yet decided when it's going to hold its primaries to elect a flag bearer, and also for parliamentary elections or parliamentary reps from the party. So it appears...
The primaries and all of that.
Yeah, so it appears that there's a bit of uncertainty there. We are in 2023, the election is coming up in 2024. Some of the flag bearer hopefuls have already started speaking, raising concerns about the uncertainty and all that. But our first caller, Yao. Good morning to you, Yao. Thank you for joining the program. Let's hear you. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning to you.
Yeah, I just want to comment on two things. The first one being the NPP distance. You see, because Alan and then Bawumia have been in power, they have been part of the government, and then they've run us into a ditch. They can't actually get a campaign message. Their campaign messages have been distorted. They only say it to their grassroots people. They can't convince any person who is a floating voter with their campaign message. And number two, please, the Ghana Schools of Shame, you've divided it into 4 parts. Am I right?
We have 4 episodes or 4 separate editions of the series.
Yeah, please, have you aired all of it?
We are yet to air the last one. So we've done...
Okay. Please, is it possible that you combine them and then make it available? I don't know.
Well, that's a decision we can't take, but we will take note of your concern and forward it to the appropriate...
Or alternatively, Yao, you could get the links to all 4 of them when they're ready. And
on social media.
That is from YouTube, and you can take advantage of that. What do you think? That's also
that works for him, yeah, sure. So, Benjamin, like I was saying, so we have a lot of people responding to who they think in the NPP can help the party break the 8. And I've gone through the comments there, and a lot of them are saying they can't even manage the 8, talk of breaking it. So like he suggested, it appears that for those who are with this government, they will find a tougher time trying to convince Ghanaians of re-electing an NPP.
And you would, right before we get to our next caller, you would also notice with Kyerematen, for example, immediately he gets out, he almost starts distancing himself in a way from some of the comments.
There are those who think he should have done it earlier, but I mean, I don't know what informed his decision to do it now. We have another caller, another Nanayao, this time from Sakumono. Hello, let's hear you, please.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for the good show and the good work that you people have been doing.
Thank you for watching.
But it's very sad when things are... Hello?
We can hear you, Nanayao. Please go ahead.
Okay, so it's very sad when the NPP has brought this country into such a mess. And when we talk about certain things, they have the nerves to defend it. I have always not believed in politics, but I had a lot of hope in the MPP government that they were going to do better. But under this government, a lot of things has gone very bad, and they still have, and they speak it on our faces. They tell us anything, and I don't know whether they've taken us that we are some zombies. It's very bad. The youth gradually are getting armed, and it's very bad for our politics. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining the program as well. Nanai out there sharing his thoughts with us. So what you're seeing there are pictures that were taken after that meeting at Elisa Hotel, which was supposed to announce when the elections will be for the flag bearer and parliamentary reps. It was supposed to be done by the end of January, if I remember. 31st was the date.
Yeah.
Yesterday was 2nd of February. I don't know why the delay, though. And I don't know what you think about what's also happening in Bawku, Benjamin, because I mean, and we've been told, this was around the same time last year, when we were told that the threats were closer than we thought. And so
I remember having those conversations.
Exactly.
And the entire rhetoric, and now it's home. It's coming home.
And so there's the people seeking refuge in the country. Now the minister tells us that possibly there are people who have come in from other neighboring countries who do not have good intentions. So what are we doing? That's the question. Well, we have a caller from Anya, Israel. Hello, let's hear you. Hello, Israel, if you can hear me, please.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. It's unfortunate that a government in power is not composed enough. As a date, they don't actually know how to reorganize their party because of the poor performance. Ghanaians are much displeased with this MPP government. And I can tell you that anytime MPP government takes the realms of affairs of this country, they mesmerize everybody with torture and whatever you can name it. It is appalling. Look, Ghanaians are very reasoning people, and I don't think that they're going to give out their thumbs to NPP any longer in this country. They should hold on. When John Mahama takes over the realms of affairs of this country, then they will see the transformation that will come and the joy that the heart of Ghanaians will just welcome. I believe that when John Mahama takes over the realms of affairs of this country, there will be nowhere to be found again. NPP will vanish from the mind of Ghanaians. The heart of Ghanaians can never welcome them back again to power. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining the program. So it appears for many of our callers, they aren't necessarily delegates of the party, but they are concerned about the bigger picture, i.e., we don't care who you bring.
Right.
We are just not interested in the NPP anymore. Then this is based on the callers who have called in so far, speaking to that particular issue. So,
and just to move away from that, just a little bit, our colleague Richard Kojunyako just sent me a message, and he says, we're putting all of them together. That is the Ghana Schools of Shame, and we shall play them on Monday on our hotline. So at least for the caller, I think he was also Yao, making the inquiry. Apart from the option I suggested, you can also take that
on Monday.
approach next Monday.
Thank you, Richard, for that update. We have another caller on the line.
Yeah, hi. Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. Let's hear you.
Yeah, I would like to contribute on your show.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm touching on the first. I have two things that I want to share. I'll first touch on the MPP. Them feeling. Yeah, it's true. I think they should try and work things out. They are not that bad, but they need to listen to the masses. They need to just listen. If you are doing something and the people complain, they agitate, just listen to them. So I think the first who can also bring that, I think Canadian Japan, because where Ghana has gotten to, we need a selfless leader who will not be thinking of amassing wealth for himself or his family, but will come and, help make a lot of changes. So I think Kennedy is the best person to break the age. For those people, other people, I don't think, they worked it. And with the issue about a Bawku issue, I think the very people who themselves, they're supposed to give the chance to appease the chance, is the Bawku people themselves. They need to tone down. We are pleading with them that they need to tone down. We want peace. Ghana is a peaceful country. We are begging them. I'm using your medium to beg that they should give the peace the chance. If there's no peace, I don't think Bawku would develop. But it's a very good place for the boy to go on, but they need to give peace a chance. So this is a little that I want to share this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. And talking about development in Bawku, remember what the MCE said, that there were many projects that he was working on that could not be started or even finished because of what's happening. And Bawku is, I mean, if you've been to that part of town before, you know, it's not a village. Bawku is a town.
It definitely isn't.
Yeah, it's a town. It's a place that would have...
It's a sprawling town.
It would have been one of, if I'm not, you know, in that part of the country, one of the biggest, but for this conflict and its repercussions on development there. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. The name Kennedy Japan seems to be the response in that Facebook post that I referred to that we put up on who people think will be able to break the 8. And I'm just curious about why our caller thought that we need somebody who will not amass wealth, and why he thought Kennedy was the best and the others. I'm just wondering what went into that, you know.
Some people think when there's the perception of wealth, it means this person will not want more. But leaders time and again have showed us that that is actually factually inaccurate.
You can never tell. Well, we have a caller from Sunyani, is it? Hello, Michael.
Yeah, this is Michael calling from Sunyani.
Good morning, Michael. Let's hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Akakpo, congratulations. Keep the good work up.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know why politicians or the learned men and women of this country, if they are not in power, they sound so well and very educated, very hardworking, and people with a vision for this country. But when they assume power or they have been put in charge, please, class 1 people can even perform better than them. I don't know why. I'm talking about when Alan was campaigning in previous years to stand on MPP ticket in Accra. He's a man of my heart. But when you have been given a ministerial position, I don't know what he has done for this country. That one is just by the way. Now, do we have security personnel or intelligence, how do you call it, the BNI and all those security apparatus in this country? What is our intelligent information gathering as far as this nation is concerned? I'm just a young boy of 52 years. But when I cast my mind back into Ronnie's regime, before you plan to execute, you are arrested. Those are the days that who BNI personnel is not known. Who the CID is, we don't know. But today, what are we seeing? A BN personnel who go to a woman to propose and say, do you know I'm a BNI guy? This is my ID card. You go to the police station, this is a CID man. I believe you have people in authority as far as security is concerned coming from Bawku area. Why can't we plan them among them so that they can give out information to authorities so that before they execute, they are being picked up? Today is Bawku. Do you know when it will happen again? Please, this country, where are we going? Thank you, my brother.
Well, Bernice, sometimes it sounds exasperating listening to some of our viewers because the mood, the sentiment, the things they share, the frustration. And I don't know when, but somehow I feel, like I shared in my blunt thoughts today, we ought to do something about our constitution. It's not that it's not fit for purpose, but there are aspects we ought to look at. We ought to relook at our leadership and how we go about selecting these leaders and the style of leadership.
And the kinds of powers that one person has. And this is a conversation that has been had consistently since we decided to review our constitution. And so I just think that
the powers of the president must be clipped, and clipped massively.
Well, our last caller is from Ho. Daniel, hello, good morning to you, Daniel. Let's hear you.
Hello.
Hello, Daniel.
No, this is Mahmoud.
Mahmoud, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Kastua.
Please, you are our last caller. Let's hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My greetings to Benjamin.
He can hear you.
Good morning.
He's doing a fantastic work.
For God and country, both of us together, always.
I always watch you in the morning, and you are doing very good work.
Thanks for the compliment.
I really bless you. But the issue of Bawku, some of you, the media people, it seems you are not being fair to people of Bawku. Because the issue always comes up, you raise it, and you leave it for some time. The issue of Bawku, even I may say some of even so-called interior ministers and regional ministers, they don't know exactly what is going to Bawku. Look, nobody will share information what is going on within the military and the citizens in Bawku. No any Bawkuka will share any information to the military people. Because this is not the first time the military people have been killing innocent people in Bawku. And none of the investigation is able to come out with it and exonerate them. Because why? Why are they always mentioned? Since this conflict started not today, when was the last time you hear mentioning about the military people in Bawku? Count the number of times they have mentioned the military people. Why is it that this time is been mentioning? They always come out and deny it. They should know. Those who live in Bawku, they are not isolated people. There are people, both persons are in the military. There are people in Bawku who knows much about even the military in that place. There are people in the armed forces who are commanders and army officers who come from Bawku.
Mahmoud, yeah.
You get me? So people should not take up the Bawku. Like the lady is saying, they're sorry for not mentioning your name. Look, the Bawku people, Bawku was the fast development area in the whole of Upper East region. More than Tamale, more than even Bolga. But why is it that there are people who make their mind that this is what they are doing? Bawku is not about conflict issue. It's about sorry to say, go in and look at there are political issues and there are people who benefit from that particular thing.
Mahmoud. Right, sorry, I would have to end it here, but your point is well noted. Benjamin,
makes some very important points.
Very valid points.
The growth, the trajectory of Bawku has been stymied by all of these developments. And
the issue about the military involvement. You remember when I had the conversation with the MC when he said he saw persons dressed like military people shooting a neighbor. I asked, were you able to establish if these are really military people? Because once again, we have raised the concerns about infiltration. And the Ghana Armed Forces itself said it had to pick up a gentleman who was spraying his vehicle and, you know, the camel colors and all that, because all these things were pointing to them and they claimed that they had nothing to do with it. So yes, we'll keep our eyes on Bawku. But another thing, which is that for us, the media, it's difficult to get information. Sometimes when you speak to the police, you're really not getting anything. So we will
like hitting a brick wall.
We'll try our best to bring you the news. But that'll be it for today. Before I go, let me say thank you to Doue Ghana, DOUE_GH on Instagram for this beautiful dress. I appreciate it. You can find Gloria and Doue on Instagram and follow them. Right.
On that note, we say bye-bye to you, but just for the next few days. We'll be back on Monday to do what we do best. Stay with us, though. Up next, JoyNews Desk.
Take care.